Honor the warrior.
Honor the warrior. Honor the warrior.
Honor the warrior.
Honor the warrior. Honor the warrior.
Honor the warrior.
Honor the warrior. Honor the warrior.
My brothers and sisters, let's get down to business. I'm called Toshanko, otherwise known as He of the Beginning, and welcome to my temple. Today I'm sharing to you a special video. It is not merely a collection of bomb defends. This is me ranking every single one based on each map, giving analyses on each spot. To those who regularly watch my channel, I am a published author, and I use the caveat to showcase my gameplays in a more methodical and analytical perspective. For those of you who are unfamiliar with a codex is, it's an ancient manuscript text in book form. I'm a stickler for ancient lore from different cultures, so I figure that would contribute to my approach. For Call of Duty Ghost, I have found well over 100 bomb defends and hit roughly 30 of them. Now, unlike most folk who do 70 to 80% of the time, I'm responsible for planning the bomb and setting up for my bank shots, which is extremely risky. So I adorn the clan tag FTM. Now, if you guys watch my first podcast over with my good friend Francis, I mentioned a phrase, "face the mountain," which I immediately got from the old Xbox 360 game Marble Blast Ultra. And on one of the stages, it had an epigraph, which is essentially an opening quote. And it had it before you tackle the level. And this one said, "Will you face the mountain?" I knew from there all of my experiences, everything I have done of note, are done because I have many disadvantages that typical folk who do the same as I do not. So I applied that slogan to my books, I applied it to gameplays. So if I place the clan tag FTM, it's not female to male, alright? I'm not trans. Face the Mountain is a badge of honor I wear to tackle against life's hurdles, and anyone who is doing the same is most welcome to use the clan tag. Even if you haven't spoke to me, it's a phrase that thrives in connectivity. Now, for Call of Duty Ghost, only on PS4 are there any S&D lobbies still around. You can only bank shot using the throwing knife and castet for ricochet tubes. You cannot use any other grenade launchers to do so. I have checked. But above all, I truly hope you guys enjoy this. I know I'm going to stream this, and for those of you who absolutely loved my bomb defense spots on Call of Duty Ghost, there's just so much more that I can hit that I just really haven't had the opportunity to. But with any further ado, again, let's get into these spots and let's start judging. Motherfucker, oh yes, the judging system. F is for it exists, C is for beneath my standards, B is meeting my standards, A is exceeding my standards, S is for legendary, and I is for impossible. Let's go. Actually, I lied. So for the ranking system, I'm they're in basically weakest to strongest order, or I should say worst to best. And I should say that my standards for finding bank shots are incredibly high because I've done this for so many years now. So even if there's a map that doesn't offer many structures that gives me, a very unique type of bank, I still try to look for the best possible angles. And I wanted to make sure that I find every single, a bank shot for every single bomb on Call of Duty Ghosts, and that includes the DLC. But I'm a completionist, so I like to do that in that type of fashion. Now for the impossible, it's only if it bounces off an object that is very easily destroyed, or if it requires your enemy to be in a position that is very, very unlikely to happen. Okay, I'm done stalling, let's get into it. Alright, starting off with Prison Break, we have a 7 spot total. Starting off with Tier C, we're on Bomb B, and we're going to do the 4 bounce ricochet tube, but this is the tutorial. Now this one, this one is kind of a mid aesthetic. The reason for that is, for one, it just bounces off the top of a trailer and just bounces twice off the pipe. It might seem sick for a casual player, but for me, it's really dull. But the lineup is kind of what hinders it, and as well as the location, you're in the center of the map. And next up is the 3 bounce ricochet tube on Bomb B. This one's a little bit better in terms of a visual, but what really harms it is its location as well. You're not as like out in the open as the other spot, but you're still very close to the bomb. Like if somebody were to come in front of you and pause, if somebody were to arrive in front of you and look to your, the right, then you're dead. But I mean, if you can blend it with foliage, you're fine. If you just shoot the tube straight up, right here, bounces in a zigzag type of motion, which did save the aesthetic. Next up, we have tier B. Now, tier B has one spot, I believe, and is my most recent one. So it involves you planting the bomb right near this ray of light reflected in these windows. Again, pause the video if you need to see where I planted and where I'm lining up. It's actually at the bottom of the sniper hill, and once you shoot your tube, you get a tremendous 3 bounce. So let's take a look at that, shall we? And here we go. It goes all in the air, bounces off the ground, and bounces off the monitor to come back in. It actually lands in the same place where my 5 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A does. So now we have tier A. In tier A, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one involves me having to get into a small little weird corner that's close to the outskirts of the map, but you're right along the river. So make sure your teammate plants this one, and once your opponent is on the bomb, make sure you use your marksman rifle to line up with a top crosshair. Again, just pause the video if you need to, and you get a very interesting looking bank shot. So not only does it go off this little side, but it goes off the river, but it bounces to the left and bounces back in the direction of the bomb. It's very strange, but I love it. Next up, you have the 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This was the one I hit online as well. Now I did say for my 3 bounce ricochet tube, that was in the tier B section, that it lands in the exact same place. It does, but you kind of have to plant closer to the monitor. But look at the visual. It's very smooth, and honestly, it could take out a whole variety of people because the tube bounces in a general direction. So here you have me planting the bomb. It's okay. To give context, I would not have been able to make it in position to line up for this spot, because typically every time I did this otherwise, I would have been shot in the back the moment I tried to run towards the center of the map. Or if there was an enemy right behind me on the hill, that would happen. But since I knew where the last guy was, or at least in the direction he was traveling, the teammate that I had, who was a randomer, he managed to distract him for me, and I do appreciate that. And that allowed me to get it into position and just wait, for the two. Doing this with at least one other team member is so much better. But here we go. And as you can see, the reaction of it was, I blew it out the water here. So it actually hit the opponent's foot, which means it has a decent bit of hang time before it reaches the bomb. So it's better to shoot right before your enemy's about to, defuse. And here you have my 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This is what I call the legendary one. Essentially, you use your marksman rifle crosshair to line that up. Again, pause the video if you need to. And I just wait for the enemy to defuse, and it should have a 4 to 5 second hang time. It's a very beautiful bank shot, and just look at this. Just look at how it soars in the air like an eagle, does the zigzag, and then bounces off the pipe as well. That's insane. Now, I will say I hit this spot twice. The clip, now, as the subtitles did say, the clip to the left has poor resolution when I originally uploaded it to YouTube via unlisted. So I had to make it smaller so it appeared more visible, or at least more neat on screen, while the other one, which I received the kill cam for, is the bigger screen. But both of these are online. I just wanted to make sure that I had the credibility attached to this spot. So yeah, I shot my tube once. Again, it's better to have a teammate plant this one, because running back here is a real hassle. But what I like about this one is, regardless of where they are on the bomb, this tube will hit. It will, because it travels straight through. You can't beat that. Alright, next spot we have the best bomb defend on Prison Break by far, which is my legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now, this is the only map that I actually managed to hit all of my S tier spots, which is crazy. And this map, it's so unusual in terms of its environmental effect, that provides amazing visuals for kill cams. You have to think outside of the box in order to get any type of bank shot on this map. And I think that's wonderful. I think it provides the best kill cams. And, you know, here you see me hitting it online. I'm kind of like, you have to have a teammate plant the bomb there. You cannot plant the bomb on A and then run to the complete other side of the map. It's just not going to happen. So keep that in mind. Also, make sure the rightmost window is shattered before trying to do this spot, because the tube cannot break through the windows on Prison Break. You have to, you know, have somebody else destroy it, or yourself, one of the two. But this one, like, again, the angle for this was just insane. Like, I saw this rock, I saw the pipe in the middle, and I thought to myself, it's like, is there any way something can bounce off of that to land back in B? Like, if you look at it, like, there should be no feasible way for me to have the angle that I do, but I did. It just barely goes off that windowsill, takes out the diffuser. It was glorious. Next up, we have Octane, which has a record 15 spots. It has the most spots on any map. And here we have a tier F. Yes, we do have a tier F. And this, ironically, is one of the few spots that I actually hit online for this map. So it's not that the spot is bad, but again, like, for my standards, I feel like this spot just exists. It's not bad. For the casual player, it might be pretty cool, but to me, because I'm used to doing these for a long time, I judge myself harshly. I am my harshest critic. But as you can see, it bounced off the HVAC unit and bounced off the bomb accordingly. And here's the clip where you see I hit it online. So I planted the bomb right about here. And, you know, for the most part, I actually managed to, you know, get it right. There were 2 people alive at the time. Rarely do I ever plant the bomb when there's multiple people still alive. But since there was a teammate still left, I thought maybe one of the teammates can trim him off. But I ended up encountering, you know, both. So first guy was like right in front of me. I was like, well, fuck you. I have to get to my spot. And like, I used my throwing knife to line up a hard majority of these spots. So it's in order for it to be precise, because my controller veers off to the left or right sometimes. So I wanted to make sure everything was accurate, and sometimes I have to double test it. But as you can see, the tube goes off again. I'm not going to explain it again, just watch the visual. I have, for the most part, some of the audio muted, just so I can explain what exactly happens. For future clips, there will be some audio there. Next up, we have the tier C, and this tier C is crowded. We have the 2-bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, and this one is like 2 out of 3. I found like 3 tube anchors. This one has a better visual, but the location does harm it, because you're essentially out, leaving your ass exposed in Federation spawn. But once you see that enemy defuse, just, bank shot at that tanker, and it should get a nice little, as you can see, angle where it bounces off the Humvee and just skims all the way over. It's not bad. Octane is a map where there's not a lot of like structures that provide sick bank shots, but there's quite a few. And here we go. We bounce off that wall. This is for the 3-bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. It's not legendary, but still decent visual. But there's still so much better. B doesn't really have a whole bunch of structures in general to really bank shot off of, so you have to kind of do what you can with that wall. So here we go. Here's the 4-bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. I used a throwing knife to do the initial lineup as I backed into the corner. Again, pause the video if you need to. But the only problem I have with this spot, despite its beautiful visual, is the fact that B-bomb on Octane is probably the toughest map to actually, the toughest position to actually try to plant in front of that bomb, because there's going to be people watching over gas station. Next up, we have the 2-bounce strong arm throwing knife on bomb A. What I like about this one is there's a gap between these 2 buildings, and I wanted to make sure that my throwing knife bounced in between those gaps and sail over towards the bomb. And for people who like to use the riot shields, this one is perfect because it actually targets their feet. It goes so low that it just skims across and hits their feet. So it'll be perfect to take out those fuckers. Next up, we have the 2-bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This is the 3rd one. So here we go all the way towards the sign, line up with the marksman rifle if you need to. It provides a wonderful visual. The banks are not all that impressive, but still it has a decent bit of hang time, which does help in its aesthetic, value. So here we go. Sails right off of that and bounces right over. Very, very nice. Next up, we have tier B, and tier B is where it starts to get a little bit more better. More better. So here we go. I planted the bomb right here. I used to title this Bankshot Legendary, but it's kind of not. But it does provide the most hang time out of any ricochet tube on bomb, like on any of the bombs on Octane. So as you can see, it just soars straight over. Again, pause the video if you need to see the lineup, but it is a very unique bounce for this map, where it goes off this wall, bounces off the ground so high that it bounces off the ceiling and bounces off the bomb to take out the diffuser. Very, very sick shot. Now then, for bomb A, we have the 4 to 5 bounce ricochet tube, and this one is not as impressive because, again, the structures are they're not as impressive. They don't really have a lot of visual power. But this one is decent for its, for its position. I just hate like the lineup and like where you actually have to go to line it up. So, I mean, bounces off that wall and skims off the ground a couple times, no biggie there. Next up, we have, I used to call it the legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, but it's not. I think it's very sick, but there's just too many things that I kind of felt like held it back, considering the lineup, and then also just like where you have to plant in general. Your enemy has to essentially crouch or stand up in order to be hit, which I don't like, but because it was hittable on a bot, it is possible, more possible than an impossible, so I'll give it that. The bounces off the HVAC unit and the dumpster did help. Next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this is the other spot that I hit online, and this one I believe was 2 out of the 3 if I remember correctly. So I'm in this building, and this is actually the perfect place to go for B-bomb. Now, presuming your enemy is not in the gas station, if you actually run in here, nobody's going to expect you to be in that corner, because they'll be like, well, why isn't he guarding the bomb or whatever? But like, as you can see in this next clip, this is my infamous 1v5 clutch of me like finishing off the final guy with a bank shot, ricochet tube. Now all my teammates are dead. I'm essentially like, I'm the only guy left, and all I have is a riot shield and throwing knives. So like, aside from the cast stat, I can only use my riot shield and throwing knives to kill these guys, or else I would have missed the bank shot. So the first guy stopped right here, killed him, and made sure to stay in wait. Safeguard, if there's anything Safeguard taught me, is like, do not confront the group, just wait for the stragglers to come to you, and then just work your way around. And I'm not the immediate guy to plant the bomb. I'm not an aggressive player. I don't play to plant the bomb, rush, and defend it the traditional way, which a lot of players do, and they mistake me for an idiot until they see clips like this. But this is very funny. So, I'm basically, creepy and going over here, and I see Foxtrot up there, use my throwing knife to kill him. And here you see my riot shield does have a radar attached to it. But here's the thing. There was a guy shooting at me from across the gas station, but this guy had off the grid, which, conceals your location from the radar pings. So if that dude were to go to the other side of me when I was trying to get in that building, that would have completely fucked me over. So I was very fortunate that he came on the side that he did. Pause. And then, Georgina over here just shot at me and just ran off. She was like, oh no, they're being taken out by throwing knives, and they have all these guns and explosives. Fuck you. So I took that opportunity to plant right about here. I know like people are so afraid of me trying to hit my bank shots that they will literally try to defuse like a little bit further back from where I plant. So that I was like, okay, that's fine. So I took the bait a little bit. I made sure I planted a little bit more to the right. That way, Georgina will be right in line trying to defuse, from a distance diffusing position. And since my controller since my controller veered to the left and the right, I had, decent bit of trouble trying to, hold it steady, but Georgina went towards the bomb. I fucking, shot the tube. The final tube hit. And that's how you finish the clutch, really. That had to be one of the greatest clutches on any, like, search and destroy Call of Duty. I don't care what anybody says. You take a guy out with throwing knives and then All of a sudden you save a ricochet tube for him. Nah, you the boss. Now we have tier A. So for tier A, this is where it gets really creative. This spot was actually the most recent out of all the spots that I found. And I actually go back towards bomb plant spawn and I look at this little back of the Humvee. You don't have to zoom in with a marksman rifle. You can actually just stand up and use your cast deck crosshairs for this one. But once you see the enemy start to defuse, just shoot your tube. And it's a very good visual. So it goes off the back of that little Humvee, almost goes through that part, and then like bounces off the wall to take out the opponent. I think that was very cool. Next one up is the 5 to 6 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now the reason why this one is where it is because the banks that it has, it's I should say the initial ones are not unique, but what I like about this one is it bounces off the bomb in a really unique way. It bounces kind of inside of it twice, and I rarely see that happen with any of my tubes. So here, bounces off the sheet metal, bounces off the ground, bounces off the wall, and bounces off the bomb twice to take out the diffuser right in the front of the bomb. Perfect. Next we have, oh fuck, tier S, and this one is the this one is the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this one is pretty creative, though I don't need a marksman rifle to line this up. You can pretty much use the cast deck crosshairs for this. But once you see your opponent actually start to defuse, you just wait and you shoot your tube, and it actually bounces off the fender of the truck that's kind of in the direction of that tube. So I just wanted to keep that in mind. So here we go, bam, bam, bam. Yep. And then we have tier I, which is impossible. And here we go. The reason why I had this one kind of split up like that is because for tier S, it goes from tier S to tier I to tier S again. So for this one is my first, or not my first, but the only motion sensor spot where the tube bounces off the motion sensor to hit the opponent on the default maps. Now, as you can see, pause the video if you need to. I really need a fucking drink of water. But now as you can see, hits the diffuser, goes off the wall, off that building, it bounces off the motion sensor. It may bounce 1 or 2 times off the ground. Here we're back to tier S. So from there we have the 3 to 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B, and this one has such a unique lineup where you think there's no real extraneous objects to even go for a bank shot like this. But I actually used this wall to shoot, and I always looked at the roadblock and I thought, you know what, let me bank shot something off of that. And it's obviously the best bank shot on freaking Octane by far. Nothing tops that. On to the fucking next map. So next we have Tremor, which has 12 spots, and it's the second most. First one, you want to go and plant in this corner. Again, this is C tier, no F spots. And you want to go in this building. You want to line up with your cast deck as I have done. Pause the video if you need to because this map shakes. And once you see your opponent start to defuse, shoot your tube, and the tube actually travels out of that window, bounces off the ground just barely past the leg of the station, and actually takes out the diffuser, do the fire. Very, very sick. Just look at that. Next up, we have the, my fault. I forgot what spot it was for a second. It's the 4 to 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now, this one I've hit online maybe 3 times, but I'm only going to show you the one clip that I hit it because, quite honestly, the other clips were chopped up to such a degree. But because I hit it once, that's all the credibility I need. And there's a little invisible corner beneath the burning building, so that's how I was able to line this up. But as you see, it bounces over the ambulance, bounces off the wall, and trickles on the ground a couple of times. As you can see, it really does help. Got that guy right in the ankle, and I did a small reaction there. Next up, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. There's a lot of 4 bounce ricochet tubes on, or I should say bomb A, fuck. My lisp is getting on my nerves and I'm screwing up everything. So this is the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. I think it was 1 of 3. And as you can see, I lined up with this wall, did this particular shadow with the throwing knife. and it's amazing, oh my goodness, amazing aerial visual where it just bounces off that wall to bounce back in the direction of A. I cannot say shit. Forgive me for tweaking on all of my freaking language arts. I should be ashamed to be called an author. Next up, we have the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Bomb A. What the fuck am I saying bomb B for? I'm so used to saying bomb B. Forgive me. This is bomb A still. And this one is probably the best out of all the C tier spots where it goes off this wall and then it managed to bounce off the edge of the light that is inside that little, square sized hole in, the fucking roof. Tier B, here we go. This one is more impressive. This is where the throwing knives get introduced, and this throwing knife spot is the most populated, or I should say, like the throwing knife spot that I've hit the most on any bomb site. So I actually hit this spot 3 times online, and what it entails, you must have strong arm, and it goes through the hospital parking garage, which is perfect. So as you can see, it goes through there. A wonderful visual. I know the bank shot itself is not anything special, but the area in which it travels is just immaculate. It is beautiful, and it is easy to hit. You don't even have to plant the bomb. Like literally, I've had teammates like this one here who planted the bomb at that location. So all I did was just go in the back. I was like, okay, I can fucking hit it from here. Now, luckily, I was able to take out the diffuser right before that teammate got killed, because Lord knows my teammate was distracted. I tried to take out the other guy. The other guy didn't go to the bomb. So, the game ended, but at least it ended on a victory. Next up, One Zhao planted the bomb for me to set up for my spot. So he was coordinating with me on the enemy that was left. And, I have the double lethal because sometimes my first throwing knife will miss in case players trigger the motion sensor and then they try to wait to defuse to throw me off. But, the second time they actually, try to defuse. Vonzel let me know when Chrono was, going for the bomb. Luckily, I'm grateful for all of his support. And, I threw my knife and, the first one missed, of course, but the second one went right on time. It was perfect. I was jumping for joy. I really was. This was really cool to hit. So as you can see, I don't even have to explain this. You already seen the kill cam on my tutorial, but it's just so awesome to see it hit online. And next up, this is actually another clutch where I actually finished with a bomb defend. So I threw a knife, hit the guy right up there, but I knew that if I tried to climb up there, I would have been taken out. So I stayed down here, and Vonzao had the bomb again. Now this wasn't, Vonzao wasn't trying to plant for me here. He was actually trying to set up his own, ricochet tube spot. But I saw that my throwing knife spot lands in the same exact area in which his tube spot does. So I saw him plant in that location. I was like, oh. So I went in the back, and this wasn't me necessarily trying to steal his tube spot, or steal his opportunity to get that tube spot hit. But what happened was I went back here just in case his tube missed. So the moment he shot his tube, I threw my knife as well. And I thought that I stole his kill, but actually in the kill cam there was a little ray. When the grenades travel across the map, there's a little white astral that comes behind them. That's essentially what happened in the kill cam. There was a white astral that I saw, and it went between the opponent's legs because when she was defusing, her character model was leaned a bit more to the left, so the tube actually went through the legs, and luckily I actually managed to hit one of the legs. The bank shot didn't happen, but it's still very effective. So as you can see, travels all the way there. That was lucky. That was very lucky that I actually hit her in the leg and didn't go in between. But I wasn't happy that I hit that spot. Next up is my 2-bounce throwing knife, and this is on bomb A without strong arm. What I like about this one is the same thing with B. The throwing knife itself doesn't have any unique banks, but the visual of where the throwing knife travels more than makes up for it. So as you see, I threw my knife and it doesn't look like it, but it actually travels through 3 windows and then travels through a crack in the debris to bounce twice over to A bomb. Now this is one of the first bank shots that I hit on Call of Duty Ghost on PS4, and I've hit it twice. So this gameplay was fairly recent. I think it was a week or so ago, and I could have gotten a double but my teammate did finish off the last guy, and the teammate that was left, he's a homie. I like him. He's pretty cool. So I threw my knife, took out one of the guys. I kind of like overreacted a little bit, but you probably wouldn't have been able to hear that anyway because I do have the gameplay muted. But above all, I was ready for that last guy to arrive. It didn't happen, but luckily we won. And this is the first time I actually hit the throwing knife online. And this is me basically doing this by myself. Like, the teammates were not cooperating. I was playing with a player named Wonky who was obsessed with the win. But he's cool. He's cool. But like, yeah, that character is that person is obsessed with winning the game, and I understand. I'm trying to win too, but in like a fashion that will blow everybody away and give credibility to why I go for these bank shots to begin with. So as you can see, like, I went all the way back and spawned. Now this is crazy because the enemy ran into the knife and Wonky was about to kill him. So had I thrown the knife any later, Wonky would have killed him before that throwing knife actually managed to hit him. So he didn't tell me when the guy was actually coming to defuse. I just threw my knife and it fucking hit him. So it didn't do the second bounce there, but it still hit him. That counts. I'm taking it. Next up, we have the 2-bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this one is not very creative. It's just basically a tube variant of throwing knife spots that I've seen other people on YouTube recreate. So like the area in which the tube travels through this building, it's actually through like a tiny window, and you guys will see the window that we're talking about here. So bounces off the ground here and goes through this window to take out the diffuser. It's not creative. It's basically a cassette version of a throwing knife spot that I've seen a long time ago. I think I saw it from, what was it? Heroic Lemon and Mushroom. I think they did a Knifer's Playbook a while back on this map, and they did a throwing knife spot that was from like a similar location to where I actually did the lineup, though not exact. And I used my throwing knife to line up this tube, this tube spot. But I wasn't jumping for joy when I hit this. So like, again, I was like, oh, okay, I hit this. Thanks to, like, or congratulations to me, I guess. It's still a very, very cool spot for the casual viewer. So the lobby did react a certain way. And my tube actually glitched there. If I didn't shoot my second tube, or if I didn't shoot twice, then I probably would have fucked that up. But luckily I managed to win it for my team there. So as you can see, off the ground, off the wall, and bam. Very, very nice. Next up, we have the other 4-bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This one is a fairly recent spot. I think it's the most recent spot that I found thus far. When you're basically in Federation spawn and you get into a corner with this burnt Humvee. Again, pause the video if you need to. But it is a very nice visual where it goes off this Humvee, goes off the ground, and then goes off the wall and the ceiling to reach the diffuser. And the reason why I know it bounced off the ceiling to reach the diffuser is because if it just went off the wall, you wouldn't have seen a upside down 45-degree angle from that. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Next up, we have the legendary, or I shouldn't say legendary, but it was borderline legendary because of its visual. The visual was sick, and it bounces through a whole bunch of debris through the roof. My fault. My education is lacking. So here we go. It bounces there and there. Takes out the diffuser. That one's pretty tough to line up, so pause the video for that one as well. Next up, we have the legendary 4-bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now this one is legendary, even though it's so close. The tube bounces in a way off the bomb that I've never seen any Call of Duty game recreate. So it actually bounces off the bomb, bounces to and off the ceiling to reach the diffuser. Like you've seen, sometimes you might have seen like WBS Spider or another WWK member, use a camera spike to, recreate the same effect, but you've never seen somebody bounce it just off the bomb itself in order to like have that desired effect. And I think that was insane to me. So next up we have tier S, and this one is the 4-bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one is like, it nailed 2 birds with 1 stone. So this tube actually managed to go through the little you know, fringe like wall membranes or whatever of the freaking parking garage, and it went through there. And I also saw the boxes that were next to B bomb, and I also wanted to bounce something off of that. So yeah, it did both, and then it, you know, just slides off the asphalt to hit the diffuser. Next up is the legendary 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This one is the best tremor spot overall, and the kill cam is so like, the tube is so sick that the kill cam won't even show you what like all the tube does. So I had to slow it down in order to explain it to you guys. So just wait for it. It has a 5-second hang time, so even if you die and you, like, you know, the enemy's rushing to the bomb, you can still hit it. So here it goes off the wall to soar, bounces off the roof, bounces off the wall, goes through the hole, bounces off the ambulance, and bounces off the ground to like kill the diffuser. Absolutely insane. One of my favorite spots overall. Next up, we have Freight, which has a total of 8 spots. I did not do that to rhyme. Tier C, I think it might have actually had 9, now that I think about it. So I was wrong. I counted wrong. This one was the most recent one, and this is on B-bomb. Essentially, you want to, you know, go all the way up here. Forgive me. And I use my marksman rifle to line this up, but you don't need to. And the enemy has to essentially be very close to the corner in order to defuse. So I applied that concept, and here we go. It's just a one banker, but it still provides a wonderful visual over that fence. So I think it's cool. Next up is the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B as well. And this one you kind of have to plan along that shadow there. Now this one I don't mind it like existing. It does have a decent visual again, but like it felt lackluster to me. I felt like I could have done much better, and I did, finding another spot for B that at least had a better visual. But this one's still pretty cool, where it bounces over that building, you know, goes off the log members and bounces twice off the ground. But sometimes it's not as consistent as that. Next up, we have the other 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one is better. I think it has like a 5-second hang time, a 4 to 5 second hang time, and you know, you bounce off using the top part of your, the bottom part of your top cassette crosshair to line it up with that little, you know, right side of the triangle. But as you can see, the visual is very great, and it bounces over in just the way that provided that little extra oomph that the previous spot was missing. Now this spot I actually hit online twice. The player that I was placing against this time was Lucky's. And I could never kill Lucky's for the life of me, unless I was quote-unquote lucky. So, I wanted to find a way to fuck him over, and like, this could have been the best way possible, because my controller veered to the left. It actually interfered with the lineup of the spot. I had it lined up, but then like my controller made it veer a certain way. And I was like, it made me miss my first shot, and with the amount of hang time that this like spot has, it doesn't really allow you to have that, you know what I mean? It doesn't really allow you to have a second chance. So, like, second shot actually hit him, but, like, by that point, it was already too late, you know what I mean? It was already too late. So here we go. Yep. So, yep. And on this spot right here, this is the, what was it? It's the same spot. What the fuck am I saying? So here I actually managed to hit the guy right about here with a throwing knife. There was 2 people alive. I wanted to make sure I ran so like I wasn't shot in the back or something like that when I tried to defend the bomb. So as you can see, audio is a bit choppy here, so you do forgive me on that. It's not as synchronized as I thought it would be, so I might have to actually detach the audio file and make it like, I don't know. But I did manage to hit ones out here, and you know, he died right next to his teammate, which oh boy. Tier B. Let's see here. We actually have the what is it? The 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, and this one I've actually hit like the most on this map. I think I've hit it a total of 3 times, if I remember correctly. But the visual was just great. The bank shots were very functional. As you can see, it bounced off that wall, bounced off the box, bounced off two walls, and bounced off the little heap of snow to provide that little fifth bounce that made it really cool. And here you have me online, basically being the recon guy. Whenever I have the riot shield, I basically am like the tattletale. I'm like a little bitch. But that's only because when I go for the bomb defense, I cannot afford to be surprise attacked. And because the lack of teammates that I do have whenever I go for a bomb defend, it's just a way to cover my bases, if you know what I mean. So from here, I actually managed to like just creep it around the map. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that my teammates backed me up for the ones that remained. Now, Bunzao was actually one of my teammates here, and you know, he helped me tremendously through this this match right here. And I planted the bomb. What I like about this spot is that the fifth bounce doesn't even need to take place because the tube travels in a general direction. Meaning, as long as they're along that corner or right near where I planted, the tube will hit. The only people who really don't know like the counter to that are people who have never been hit by the tube or people who do not know how my tube works. So like, you know, that's just one thing. That's just one thing. It's just one thing. I don't know why I just said that, but yeah, I waited until the enemy started to defuse the bomb. Again, a lot of these are lined up with throwing knives, so I shot my tube right at the 7-second mark. I think that's the ideal mark. Once it hits 7 seconds, I just shoot, and you know, I got the kill here. Now this clip actually happened on my birthday. Believe it or not, it happened on my birthday. And that was the day I hit 3 bomb defends in one day, which was crazy. Now this one is a more recent spot because like, I was tinkering around and I wanted to get another bank shot off that box, but from a different angle. And as you can see, I kind of am closer to the spawn when I did so. So, you know, just look at the tube. So here we go. Boom. Off the box, off the ground, off the wall, off the ground. Killed the diffuser. Very, very nice. Next up, we have the 2-bounce throwing knife on bomb B. This is with strong arm, and you need to use a marksman rifle for this because it's very easy to miss this spot. And from here, I actually didn't find this spot. This is actually one of the very few spots that I did not find in like the catalog or the codex of Bankshots here. But what you want to throw your throwing knife, and you get a very wonderful visual where it just bounces off of the 2 highest roofs and like the entire map. Absolutely dope. And there we have tier A. Tier A. And the first one here is, again, this is actually another spot that I did not find. This was a spot that I saw somebody going for, like in one of the bomb defense daily montages, I think. And like, you know, I tried to find my own modification of the spot, but it bounces off that wall and bounces off of these 2 roofs twice each, and it takes out the diffuser. Next up we have tier S, and tier S is full with stacked spots, forgive me. This one is the legendary 8 to 9 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now the reason why this one is not number 1, even though it has the most banks in the game, is because it's not creative to me. The visual is, you know, great to a lot of casual players, but for those of you who know like ricochet tubers, you've seen the clip where a guy kind of hit like the 6 to 7 bank shot on the same bomb. All it really did was had 2 extra bounces off the bomb itself. So it wasn't really creative, but this spot right here takes the cake because of the unique angle provided by the pallet that I you know, saw in the lumber near Federation spawn. So again, pause the video if you need to. It's a 5-second hang time tube. So here we go. It goes soaring in the air, bounces off the roof, bounces off the box, bounces off the snow. Very, very sick spot, and actually one of my favorite spots overall. Next up we have Whiteout, which has a total of 7 spots. So for here we have tier C. And tier C, I mean, there's no bad spots for this map. And it starts off with a throwing knife. I think it was no strong arm. Essentially, you go into your spawn and you wedge in the line with this little corner of ice, and you want to line up your throwing knife with this like part of the tree. I guess the tree is moving, so it's kind of hard to track where you should really steady your knife. But as long as you're somewhat close to what I have lined up, again, pause the video if you need to, but the angle is very cool, but the bounces of the throwing knife did hold it back. I always wanted a bank shot that happened like through said window that the throwing knife travels through right here. So it goes all the way over, bounce through that window, and sometimes it bounces off of that little, what is it? I won't call it a stud, unless it is called a stud. I wish I remembered more about architecture. Anyway, next spot is going to be on bomb A again, and this is a ricochet tube, where you basically line up with a tree and turn around to bank shot off this roof. Again, pause the video if you need to, but goes soaring straight over. I always wanted a bank shot that happened where it bounced off the lumber that was next to the bomb, and you know, the spot accomplished just that. Next up we have tier B, and it's a killer. But here we go, we have bomb A again. We have yet to see bomb B yet. And here we use my marksman rifle to line up with the crosshairs and shit. Now I will say this tree is actually like very important, because I actually have 2 total spots just from being next to this tree. One of them is a normal like spot, and another one is the leaning spot, and they go to 2 different locations entirely. But this one goes off the tree, bounces off the conveyor belt, and bounces twice off the ground to get a great 4 bounce. Next up, we have the first bomb B spot showcase. This one is 4 bounce, but if you plant close to the bomb, it will just be 2. Your choice, but pause the video if you need to see where I am lining up. So I have my cast dead ready here. It provides a wonderful visual, and it does have quite a bit of hang time, so make sure you try to shoot before your enemy starts to defuse. And yeah, like, it just sails over this building, goes off this roof, bounces off the bomb and the ground to sail towards the back here. Very, very nice shot. Next up, we have another bomb defend on bomb B. This one involves you being close to the center of the map and using your marksman rifle. Again, pause the video if you need to see the lineup, and like, I might do a full-scale tutorial on that. I think I might have already did so, but this one has quite a bit of hang time as well, and it's a triple bounce. So you'll see it. I should say rocks are like the most difficult objects to bounce off of, but as you can see, it bounced off the rock, bounced off the ground, and bounced off the box. Take out the diffuser. Next up, we have tier A, and there's only one tier A spot, and that's the leaning 2 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A. This was the one where I was talking about, where you're next to the same tree that I used for the 4 bounce ricochet tube. You're just leaning, and with that in mind, you know, again, pause the video if you need to, but it provides a wonderful visual and an unforeseen type of angle that I wasn't expecting. I can't believe I could find 2 totally different spots from one, you know, location. But yeah, here you see the tube travels over and then bounces off the angle of the snow to bounce back in. Next, we have the only tier S spot, and you guys pretty much might know what this one is. It's the legendary 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one is the most popular of my bomb defends. And like, honestly, it's very creative. It's like these sets of pallets are out of the map, and the only downside I really have to this one is because you're in an open spot and you're going prone, and it does make you very visible. But if you're actually able to line it up, you get a wonderful 2 bounce display. Now, not only does it go straight up off these pallets, but it bounces off the roof over there, which I never seen anybody do. And that's what you like. Again, that roof is very elusive. Next up, we have Stormfront, which has a total of 6 spots. We go straight to tier B, because on Stormfront, there are no bad spots. Every spot you find on Stormfront has to be dependent on angles, because both bomb sites are inside, and these angles are cool. So here, we have a 2 bounce ricochet tube. I do believe this one is on bomb B, my fault. And this truck has to remain intact in order for the lineup to kind of work. Again, pause the video if you need, you know, to see instruction, but it's a very, very cool to see this lineup here. So it bounces off the road, bounces off that low ledge, and goes straight over towards the bomb. Now, I will say if the diffuser was further back, it would actually bounce off the bomb and still hit them. Next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on the same bomb, bomb B. And I use my throwing knife to line up with the foliage. Again, pause the video if you need to. And once your enemy is starting to defuse, you just shoot your tube. And this one provides a very unique angle to travel towards the bomb location. The bounces themselves are not of, unique status, but the angle is. So it just, bounces twice off the ground there. Next up, we have tier A, and tier A is kind of crowded, not really. This one is the most recent of my bomb defense for Stormfront. So you want to plant right about here, and you see it, the door that's, right where you exit out of, that's what the one I use. And I always wanted to find something that, Bankshot it off that door, but the problem was banking it in a way where it travels far enough to get over to B. So I actually managed to find just that using the windowsill over here, shattering the glass to do so. So again, pause the video if you need to see instruction, but yeah, like that was a very creative spot, and I would have never found that or thought of that had I not taken a second glance, but yeah, it just has a wonderful visual. Next up, we have the 5 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A. And this one, like, I don't know if the visual is better. I don't think the visual is better. It does have more hang time, and it does travel through more things than the spot that kind of succeeds it. But you want to shoot this spot as you see here, and again, it's a long hang time spot, but it essentially goes off this part of the wall, through the window, off the ground twice, off that object and off that ground for the final time, take out the opponent. Next we have tier S. Now it has 2 spots here. First spot you want to plant in a set of books. Next up you want to line up with your throwing knife with these shelving, I guess, and then you want to crouch and then shoot your tube once you're ready. And this one I find was so much better because you're not out in the open, and because it barely misses the objects that it bounces past. So look at this. Look at how narrowly it escapes all those objects just to bounce to the bomb. I think that's more impressive to me. Next up, we have the final spot and the best spot for Stormfront overall. This one is the legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this one was ranked 10 out of my top 100 bomb defense for Call of Duty Ghost, and for good reason. The angle is unheard of, and I always wanted to do something with the spiraling little pillars that were right next to the bomb, and I found something that resulted in a great angle. So it bounced off the ground, bounced through the window, and takes out the diffuser there. I think that is one of the best spots that I've ever found. Next up we have Siege, which has a total of 8 spots. So here we're getting into tier C. So right now it is the 1 bounce throwing knife strong arm for bomb B. Bomb B is incredibly difficult to find good bank shots for because of its location, but I still managed to find something decent, At least the throwing knife is able to bounce off of one of the beams here. Travels all the way over past that cart to the bomb. So it's a unique little angle there. Next up, you want to, plant the bomb right here. This is for the double bounce throwing knife spot. And essentially, you want to line up your throwing knife as shown. You do need strong arm. Again, pause the video if you need to, and it just goes straight over and towards the center of the bomb. Man, I need a drink of water, man. But as you can see, it bounced off the 2 grooves there and just sails over. Yep. And next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This one is... what you see in this kill cam is not what's supposed to happen. The only reason it did an extra bounce there is because that was the actual bomb placement. So the enemy diffused further back and still got hit because the bomb was still manifest, even though it was invisible on the kill cam screen. I don't know why, but that's what happens sometimes. So as you can see, it bounces off there, bounces off the concrete slab, and that doesn't happen. Please do not believe that happens. Okay. Next up we have tier B. In tier B we have starting off the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. So you want to go towards Federation spawn. You want to crouch and get into a corner here and line up with this wall. Again, use a marksman rifle to line up as I do, and once the opponent starts to defuse, you just wait and just shoot your tube. And you see those like slanted broken pillars that are on next to A. I always wanted to bounce something off of that, and with this tube it gave me the opportunity, so that bumps it up in my opinion, but it just barely bounces in a way where it gets over to kill an opponent. It could have went right over them. Next up, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, and this is, you know, really cool here. So I line up with a little dot over near Federation spawn, and it goes through a location where I don't see anything else go through. So it actually went through a hole in a building roof and then bounces off of the ledge that's beneath it and then bounces over towards the bomb. It's like, it was so cool. So it goes here, here, bounces off the bomb. Yeah, buddy. Tier A, murder. No, we're going to edit that out. The tier A, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. This is the only ricochet tube spot that I found, and the angle, like, you wouldn't think that an angle exists for bomb B, but I made sure I was very thorough and looked for every single possible angle before I gave up, and luckily this spot revealed itself. Now the bounces itself are not anything, you know, too crazy, but the location in which it travels more than makes up for it. So as you can see in the kill cam, bounces off this, through those beams off the ground a couple of times to take out the diffuser, just barely. Next up, we have the only, no, not the only, there's 2 tier S spots for Siege. The first one goes right over here. You want to crouch and line up with these hole in the boxes. Again, pause the video if you need to. And this one has a 5-second hang time, so make sure you shoot this one before your opponent starts to defuse. But it's an amazing visual. The traveling pattern of the tube, you would think it would be linear, and it kind of is, but the bounce is more, like, the bounces actually do so much more. So it bounces off the box, off the roof, off the ground, through the bomb. Like, come on. I thought that would have been the sickest one, but this one right here, the legendary 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, the second, I should say 3 out of 3, but like right here, the angle is just so unheard of here. So I found this spot by accident where you bounced it off the wall, and it bounces off of rock that's in the opposite direction and like bounces off of another wall and bounces off the ground. Like, come on. That one just takes the cake in my opinion. Next up, we have Warhawk, which has a total of 10 spots. So here we have tier C, and I used to have this spot in tier F until I kind of modified it recently. I knew that the barrels in which the tube would bounce near could be bounced off of when I'm in this corner. I just needed to find a better lineup for it. But I still don't recommend going for that spot online. You're too close to the bomb, in my opinion. You could take it, but it's not very likely. So just be cautious of that. And again, it's not a bad visual, but it is just tough to hit because of the angle in which your opponent has to defuse. It has to be just right. So as you can see, it goes off here, off the wall, and off the barrel. I mean, yeah, sure. Next up, we have the 2 bounce throwing knife on bomb B. Now this one requires strong arm, and the visual is very nice, and the bank shots are decent as well. So as you can see, I kind of missed my shot there, but that's because the enemy wasn't defusing at the time. But once the enemy did start to defuse, I threw my other knife, and you know, you'll see where bank shots off of. It could have been higher, but honestly, it was like you just barely are able to plan where the throwing knife lands, so it bounced off that little side of the roof and then bounces off the truck there, take out the diffuser. Not bad at all. Next up, we have tier B, which is pretty crowded, I think. So here you go on bomb A, and this one I actually line up with this wall right here. It's a 4 bouncer, so I basically bounce my tube, and it goes off of like the what is it called, like the round part of the roof, and then just skims on the sheet metal to bounce off of another wall. Like, it's a very smooth bank shot, but it's just so tough to line up and hit, but it is possible. Next up, we have the other 4 bounce ricochet tube, and this one is for bomb B. This one I actually hit online. I know I didn't show where it planted in the tutorial, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. But I actually used my throwing knife to line up this spot because, as you can see along this wall, there are no distinguishable marks for me to use my crosshairs for my tube to line up with. So it just helps having like a throwing knife to line up with other markings, doing like a multi-phase type of lineup. But as you can see, it bounces off this wall, bounces off the roof, bounces off the bomb to bounce back and take out the diffuser. And you'll see where I planted online here. So this was essentially like my teammates were guarding the bomb pretty well. So like I knew that from there, I knew that I was going to be able to do this. I knew. So like planning the bomb and actually going to the location to line up the tube was just insane. Like I never thought it possible, and in fact I was incredibly fortunate. So like yeah, like it was absolutely crazy. And the fact that I traveled this slow without marathon and with a riot shield, God help me. But well, he did help me. So there you go. Went with this wall, used my throwing knife to line up right about there with a little dot and that little cloud there, and then backed into the corner. And luckily my controller didn't veer anywhere, far to the left or anything like that. And I actually shot before the enemy got there. I fired at 7 and hit him. Yep. So here it goes. Bam, bam, bam. Got him. I think this was also a spot that I hit on my birthday. I think that was the second spot that I hit on my birthday. And here we go. The more recent spot right here is another 4 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. This one, you actually have to climb on top of the truck and get in this corner and crouch. Line up the tube as you've seen me do. And it actually provides a unique lineup. You'll see in the kill cam here. So it actually bounces off this wall, bounces off the truck twice, and bounces under the bomb. Like, like I find that really, really cool. Next up, we have the another 4 bounce ricochet. No. It's the throwing knife by fault. I forgot I had the throwing knife spot for a second. But it's a good throwing knife kill cam here. I definitely recommend having a teammate plant here because you're not going to be able to hit this otherwise. So throw your knife. It travels a long way, but you're able to hit it anyway. So the kill cam will show that it sails all the way across the map, bounces off this roof, bounces off the wall, and off the barrel to take out the opponent. Next up we have Tier A, and Tier A is a little doozy here. So this is going to be the 3 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B, and this one requires you to crouch in this little corner and line up as such. This is a 5-second hang time tube, so you want to make sure that you shoot before your opponent starts to go towards the bomb. And this was one I hit online as well, so you'll see that clip. And it was actually it was funny because that clip was how I met one of my friends on here. So I hit the guy with a tube. It was his first time kind of playing against me, and when he got here, it was like, what the fuck? Now my teammate over there, H2O, died because he wanted to plant somewhere else. But I knew that once he died, I knew that I would be able to get this bank shot because the other guy had no idea what I was doing. Like, he doesn't know what I do. So I didn't have to worry about him necessarily looking for me. What I had to worry about was him actually trying to defuse. And, I wanted to make sure that I shot both my tubes before the 10-second mark, or not before, but roughly after the 10-second mark, because again they travel a long distance. I was trying to wrestle with my controller to get it to settle because it was veering off to the right, I think, this time. So yep, that happens. Oh god, my voice is gonna be so fucking dry. Imagine how it is taking calls without fucking water, man. My voice sounded like a fucking prepubescent there, man. I was so ashamed of that. But as you can see, oh my goodness, as you can see, I got my freaking tube there. I hate my lisp, bro. But here we go. My teammates told me not to go for the bank shot, and I still yes. Yeah, like they told me not to go for the bank shot and actually try to win, so I was like, fuck it, no. I actually proved them wrong right there. Next up, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A. It's another one. This one is like the one I avoid at all costs. I never try to go for this spot. The corner on the card that I'm lined up with, it's really tough to like kind of wedge into that corner to begin with, and then the tube, it's very inconsistent, but when it does hit, this is the visual, and it's very cool where it bounces off the barrel, off the wall, and off the ground there. But I don't go for it. I don't go for this spot anymore either, because this one is like has a high room for error. I use my throwing knife to line it up with this wall. This is actually a derivative of WWK Hayes' 2 bounce ricochet tube spot. I just made sure that it bounced off the bomb twice, and it actually does an extra bounce off the wall as well. It's very useful for opponents that are diffusing in that corner, as you see here. Bounces off the bomb twice, and bounces off the wall. Perfecto. Probably could have done more if the enemy was positioned different. But here we have tier S, which has 1 spot in mind. And this one is the legendary 6 to 7 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. Now it has a 5 to 6 second hang time as well, so you want to make sure you shoot this one before your opponent arrives at the bomb. So as you see here, I'm lined up with my tube, and then I shoot my tube. And just look at that. Look at that hang time, bro. And this is a majestic kill cam at an angle that I never thought would have been possible, but it was. Like, absolutely insane. That is a spot I want to hit online. Like, that's crazy. Next up, Sovereign, which is the worst map in Call of Duty Ghosts. You cannot change my mind. That map is such a horrendous design. Fuck that map, but I have to review it anyway. We have Tier C, which is essentially throwing knives and like a 2 bounce tube. So the first throwing knife where you're essentially in bomb plant spawn, you have to go right down here in the underground section, line up with your throwing knife as such, and you get you get a 1 bounce throwing knife. It's strong arm. I don't really care much for this at all. I don't, but it goes straight off that wall to go over towards the bomb. But seriously, fuck this map. I do not like this map, and it was a pain to play on Safeguard. Fuck this map. But here is one of the spots that I actually managed to hit online. So this one is a throwing knife that travels through all the, the technology that's in the center that kind of guides the tank across the screen. So as you can see, it bounces off this wall and kind of skims past everything to take out the diffuser. Very, very nice, but I don't like the map. So I didn't plant the bomb either. So somebody else planted the bomb, and it was like kind of like if the opponent managed to defuse away from that spot, it actually like benefited me because it would have traveled towards a general direction of where the knife would have landed. So that was cool for me. So here I had to take out Georgina. I thought that throwing knife would have bounced off the wall to get her, but it didn't. But luckily I still managed to get her. And my teammates, I saw who was the last alive. I was going like, nah, he's gonna take them out. So I might as well like ready myself up, and like, yeah, I was ready for it. So once that motion sensor went off, I fucking did my shot, got it. And he like diffused away from the bomb too. So like, that just goes to show. Yep. Next up, you want to shatter these windows. This is the 2 bounce ricochet tube spot on bomb B. Now, I actually hit this spot online. No kill cam though, but it does provide a wonderful visual, even though the bounces might not be anything too special. As you can see, it's imperative that you have a throwing knife crosshair, at the very least, or a marksman rifle. When I was online, I didn't have a throwing knife left, because I used it to kind of shatter the windows that the tube was set to bounce through, and I had to make a gamble there. But by that time, like the last enemy, like I looked at myself, I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna go down the fucking toilet. So I planted right about here, and I saw that window. I was like, you know what, fuck it, man, I'm gonna try to wing this shit. Threw the knife through there, went out, and I essentially had to wing it. I had to wing it looking like squinting at the screen, and my TV is much smaller than most other folks' TVs. So like trying to find the lineup through all that without a throwing knife was just a fucking struggle and a half. So I missed my first tube when the enemy did start to go for the bomb. So yeah, I shot my tube, and the enemy wasn't falling for the first one. Second one, I wish I shot sooner because it did manage to hit him. But again, my teammates were probably pissed off. I was like, "You motherfucker, how could you?" Anyways, tier B. Now you want to plant this on like in this little corner on B bomb, and you're essentially wanting to go along this wall for Federation side. Again, pause the video if you need to. And when I shot my tube, it did like it bounced pretty decent, I guess. So as you can see, bounced off this wall, bounced off the roof, bounced off the wall, and bounced near the light. Drops down and takes out the diffuser. Very, very nice spot. Next up we have tier A, which has 2 total spots. First, actually both of them are on bomb A. One of them requires you to go towards the spawn, and like you're up here. This is actually a multi-phase lineup where I have to like crouch after I lined it up by standing up. So once your opponent is starting to defuse, you just shoot your tube. It has a decent bit of hang time, so don't worry about that. But as you can see, it travels off the wall, straight in the air, off the roof a couple of times, and takes out the diffuser. Next up, we do have another 4 bounce, and this one is basically a tube variation of a throwing knife that I hit earlier online, where the tube travels through all the technology that carries the tank across the map, and like the visual was very good. It was a very good visual. The bounces are not as like, I guess, crazy, but they still provide a wonderful visual, and the direction it travels more than makes up for it. It bounced off the number 9. I love a number 9. Next up we have tier S, and this is one of the best bank shots that I ever found. It's essentially on bomb B, or almost like on the point where you're about to walk outside to get to that platform there. That looks almost like a fucking penis on the ground, I'm not gonna lie. And I line up with my throwing knife to make sure it's as accurate as possible. But again, pause the video if you need, to see the lineup and the location. I missed the first shot there, but then the second spot was like very cool. So here you see. So it goes off of this blue crate, off the wall, off the technology, off the wall again. Very, very nice. Next up, we have Overlord, which has a total of 4 spots. Now, tier B, we're starting off with, and this spot was actually found by WWK Hayes. He hit it online. I couldn't find anything else for A, but I wanted to make sure that for my catalog, there was a bomb defend that was possible, that could be shown for that bomb site. So Hayes, if you're watching this one, credits to you, man. This is one of the few spots I didn't find that I showcased on this list. Thank you very much for finding that unique angle. That is very cool. Next up, we have tier A, and tier A, we have a couple spots here. The first one shown is the 4 to 5 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. B is a much tougher, or not saying much tougher, but B is a tough like bomb to kind of get a tube through, but I found a way. This one though, it travels in a linear pattern, and the aerial like visual is cool, but like the problem is it just barely dribbles over to the bomb. If the enemy diffused further back, they would not have been able like to get hit. This one that I recently found, however, kind of solved that problem. So I lined up with a marksman rifle crosshair with this little marking in this wall, and then what I did is I backed into this corner and I made sure my top tube crosshair was kind of in line with this part of the fence. Again, pause the video if you need to see, and it has a good amount of hang time, but it does travel much like farther. So as you can see, it was off there, bam, bam, takes out the diffuser. Now I actually hit this spot online as well, and what's interesting about that is because teammates like to plant in that location a lot. I didn't even have to plant there. I just used the estimation that the teammate was going to plant there, because if you would try to plant any closer, enemies from the other side would easily flank you. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm actually going to go in this corner right here, line it up, and if the opponent actually rushes towards the bomb, which I knew they would, I knew they were going to get hit, So here we go. And I was just patient. Now my teammates were getting slaughtered. I didn't get the kill cam, unfortunately. There was too many people still alive. But like I still managed to hit the spot. And even get a double kill, kind of. So like I got the cross map on Andy. Killed the other guy, but ultimately the bomb still got defused. Yep. So tier S, we have the legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this one is actually one of my first ricochet tube spots that I've ever found for Call of Duty Ghost. And like this was back on the PS3 days. So when I converted over to PS4 and trying to find the lineup again, it was tougher because like I didn't know where exactly to look. But luckily the PS4 lineup was much better than the PS3 lineup, where it just bounces, you know, twice, trickling off the little ladder area to get in the diffuser. And this is ironic. So when I hit this online, I hit like Andy, or not Andy, Steph Craig with a Bankshot throwing knife right there. And then I finished off, you know, the final guy with another Bankshot. So like, yeah. That happened. So, as you can see, climbing up the ladder at night. But I had to climb up the ladder. Good old Vin was the last one alive in this case. And, you know, I used, like, on my PS3 lineup, I used to, like, just line up with the freaking red barrel somewhere and then, like, push into that corner. But on the PS4, I can just go straight into the corner and find a good bank shot for it. Or a good lineup for it, I should say, to do the bank shot. And it travels quick, too. It's not like it has an insane amount of hang time. It's very cool for the lineup. And it has a unique angle. Very, very unique angle. Yep. Oh, shit. So here we have Stonehaven. It has 6 total spots. Now, we have tier C. C tier has 1 spot that I hit online, and this was actually very recent. So it's my 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Nobody has ever hit a bank shot on bomb A for Stonehaven before. They might have been able to hit a cross map on Stonehaven, but they might never have hit a bank shot online for Stonehaven A bomb. And the time that I actually did manage to hit it, it was a, like, I wouldn't say it's a 1v4 clutch, because there was teammates still alive. But those teammates weren't doing anywhere near the amount of work that I was doing. So it felt like a 1v4. And whenever my teammate said, go on here, I'll protect you, I was like, no, they will not. Like, whenever a teammate says they will protect you, never believe them. If you're used to going at this by yourself, like, okay. So as you see here, this clip that I've used for, you know, when I hit online, I had to make it smaller so the resolution would be a bit passable. Again, it's not at 100, or not 100, it's not at 1080 HP, so it was at 720, I believe. So nobody was doing shit, really. Like, this guy was right here. My teammate was in the back, and he was like not, either he was not firing at this dude, or he was firing so shit that like I had to literally step it up, and like with 1 throwing knife I managed to clutch this shit. It was crazy how they did not help me. Like, come on, bruh. No, I gotta do everything my damn self. And you know what I like to say? Like, whenever I get on Call of Duty and I do shit like this, I'll say that I suck, so therefore when I do like the shit that I do, like, they have no excuse. They're like, motherfucker. But, like, again, like, I'm just cruising around here. I never like to plant the bomb when there's multiple people still left. So I wanted to try to trim the deficit as much as possible. And, you know, I ended up making my way towards A because I don't trust the castle. Every time I went in the castle, I got either shot from like a long distance or taken out in the back. So A gave me a better fighting chance because nobody really likes to go to A all that much. But as you can see, there was a sniper somewhere over in that side, and I knew who exactly it was, so I decided to flank him in the most savage way possible. Again, I only had 1 knife left. So, like, you know, I finished him off. And then the other guy who I killed right afterwards, he had off the grid. so I wouldn't have been able to see him on the radar, but luckily he was right there, and I planted the bomb accordingly.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I hit it!
So right about there, and then I went like alongside like the wall from spawn, like in this corner right here, and I was literally praying to God that I would like hit this spot because I'd done so much work prior to getting to that point. I was like, by this point, I have to hit this, Lord. I was like, please let me hit this. And you know what? The good Lord said, you know what? I'm gonna give you one. So like eventually when I did hit it, I was like ecstatic, bro. And so was the other lobby. Yeah, yeah, I did. Yep. Now it should be said that the next spot, we're still on, C tier. This one is the 2 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. This one has an impressive visual, but the reason why I don't like going for this one is because it's very, very inconsistent. Um, and using a marksman rifle, I'm not used to. So, like, for this spot, I was just like, you know what? I'll show it for the tutorial, but I'm never going to go for this online. So as you can see, it bounces off that rock and then off that side of the castle and goes over towards the diffuser, which is decent, I guess. Next up is another 2 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B, this time off of a different structure. So you want to go essentially like lining up with your marksman rifle as I've done here, and use the top, it's the top marksman crosshair. But once you do that, you want to line up, make sure you're lined up well with that little area and shoot your tube. You get a very nice double bounce again. So here you will see the tube goes off the wall and then it bounces off that little slanted member there of the castle, travels all the way over. Next up we have the, I don't think this is C tier anymore, is it? No. This has to be B tier or something. This has to be B tier. I must have missed it or something. But like, yeah, you essentially wanted to shoot the tube accordingly here. And this one gets this one I like because it has a 90-degree bank shot. So like once it bounces off that sign there and it goes off that part of the castle, it bounces 90 degrees. Like there's no spots that are like that. Next up we have tier A. And for tier A, this spot is not even mine. This is actually found by Bond Defense Daily, where it actually bounces off of two sides of the like two towers of the castle that kind of just hover over B-bomb, which you have to have strong arm for, and that was just insane. Like, come on. Like, look at this. Look at how insane this is. And it has quite a bit of hang time, too. But there is a tier S spot for Stonehaven as well. And this one is a 5 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A. Now this angle I long thought was impossible. And I thought the building that the tube would bounce off of would be like impossible to kind of have that for. But you want to go along this wall and you want to line up with this little wall right here. You can pause the video if you need to see the lineup. The enemy takes his a little time to go over to the bomb, but once you shoot your tube, bam. A wonderful, wonderful visual. So as you can see, it goes off the wall, off that building. Very, very good. Very, very good. Next up, we have 4 spots here. And we're starting off with tier C. We have a strong arm, or not strong arm, a non-strong arm throwing knife for bomb B. And actually bounces off of a unique object here. But the lineup is very inconsistent, and not to mention, like, it just, like, the bounce itself isn't, like, bad, but the object that it bounces off of is cool. So it kind of, like, I don't know. It goes straight over, sails over to B. Nothing too shabby there. Next up, we have tier B. And this one is on bomb A. This is a 3 bounce ricochet tube. And I don't like this one because you're more out in the open, and this one just barely goes towards the bomb site. It just barely goes towards the bomb site. So like your opponent basically has to be right at the edge in order to hit this spot. So as you can see, it goes off the ceiling, off the ground, and then off the wall, just barely trickling over to get the diffuser there. Next up we have tier A. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse because I've been speaking for a while. But tier A, we have, you know, a 4 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A, and this is actually the best one, the best like Bankshot for bomb A. So you want to crouch, use your marksman rifle to look at that little corner of the tile. You can pause the video if you need to. And the visual more than makes up for, you know, the map. I do not like chasm for a map, but as you can see, it bounces off the like the side of the you know, stairs there, and off the ground, and off the ground again. Next up, we do have a tier S spot, but this one is actually another spot that I did not find. This was found by WWK Electrify many years ago, but it's still a spot worthy of, you know, remembering because nobody really knows about it all that much. But yes, the 5 bounce tube where you essentially go right here. It bounces so many times off of the different, you know, debris just to trickle back down and kill the diffuser. Very effective. Next up we have flooded, which has a total of 6 spots, and there are no C tier spots, so every single bank shot on flooded is sick. For the first one, you want to plant the bomb on A side, and then I use the far wall, and I don't use strong arm for this. But you want to use the far side on A. And line up with your throwing knife here. My voice is getting so fucking hoarse, so forgive me if I don't sound the best. It's so fucking dry. And you know, you see the throwing knife bounce off that slab there, kill the diffuser. Next up, we have the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now this one actually was the first and only bank shot that I've hit on Wonky online. And ever since I hit that bank shot, Wonky, he diffuses in a way that's just out of like the bank shot's like hitting range. So like every time I go for a bank shot from this time on, I can't even hit Wonky because he diffuses out of its position. I have to get him like essentially if he's running into it. So here you see me being paranoid as I always am. And you know, Safeguard is a game mode that does reward players who have paranoias of people always being behind them and shit like that. Because you have no mini-map and you essentially have to fend for yourself against massive waves of enemies. So, well, yeah, these enemies can shoot you back. So, yeah. So there was an enemy right there, but luckily I got the assist there. And getting into this lineup is incredibly dangerous. I stuttered so much there. What the fuck is wrong with me? But as you can see, I lined up with my throwing knife. Now, had I shot this a second earlier, I likely would have been able to get the second guy who was, you know, hovering around behind Wonky. But yeah, that did happen, unfortunately, and you know, I was almost jumping for joy a little bit, but I was still mad. Anyways, we're going to B bomb here, and we're planning on this side. This is the 3 bounce ricochet tube, where it has a very unique angle where it goes off of the business desk that is towards the right of the bomb. And this spot I actually hit online twice, but the second and third bounce were absent from those kill cams because of the positioning of my opponents at the time of when they were trying to defuse. So as you can see, kill cam displays exactly as I described. And you know, the online, yep, the online. Oh man, while these clips kind of go on, I'm gonna give myself a drink of water. My throat is parched. I'll be right back.
Yeah. If that go, yeah, if that goes off, sickle.
Alright, sorry about that. But I returned with some water for my throat that needed to be quenched. And, hit the tube again. What I find more impressive is that this guy actually managed to run into the tube from the narrow, window of escape or whatever. It was actually quite interesting to see that. Next up, we have Tier A. Tier A, I think, only has one spot, and that is for Bomb B. This is for the only throwing knife spot that I found for that bomb. Oh my god. Okay. So, the angle is absolutely crazy, and I found this by accident. I thought the throwing knife was just going to bounce off the door and just head over to B, but it did an extra bounce that I never could have predicted. So, it bounced off that door, and then it bounced off the wreckage to bounce back towards me. It was so sick. And next we have Tier S. Tier S is among some of the best bomb defense in the game. First off, we have the ricochet tube, and this is the 4 bounce on bomb A. Now this solar dish right here, or is it? No, solar panel. I used to line up with a marksman rifle, and this is an unforeseen angle. I used the underneath portion of the solar panel. I was just obsessed with it. From the moment I saw it, I knew something could be done with that. So, as you can see, bounced off of that, bounced off the bomb, and then, off the ground. Oh my goodness. That was so cool. And then, here we have the legendary 2 or 4 ricochet knife. No, Bankshot throwing knife. And the reason why I have these clips side by side is because the original variant only had the 2 bounces, and then the updated had the 4 banks. The 4 bank one actually has a higher hang time, or I should say a longer hang time. It has a hang time of 6 seconds, while the 2 bank only had a hang time of 5. But as you can see in slow-mo, you can see the difference there. The 2 bank just bounces off that slab once, while the 4 bank bounces off the slab and off the ground twice. And I think the 4 bank variation is the best bomb defend spot for Ghost. Now, as you can see, I did hit this online, and it was the 2 bank variation. Now, planning this and actually managing to hit this was like a Hail Mary in itself. I was not expecting for that to happen. And traveling through where I needed to go, I basically had to be a pacifist running through this area. I could not take on the enemies. I knew that I had to hide and get into position as fast as I could. So as you can see, I went right up here and lined up with this this ventilation or the air ducts or whatever the hell, and then lined straight up with the throwing knife. By God. And the enemy had a ballistic vest too, so if I tried to do a ricochet tube, it probably wouldn't have worked. So I'm lucky that I had it with a throwing knife. Yep. Yeah. Now then, for Strike Zone, both the regular and Chem version, I have 7 total spots. For Tier C, I actually have a 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B, and this is the regular version. Now, the bounces don't do anything extracurricular, but the visual of it was somewhat impressive. I'll give it that. And I actually managed to hit this online 3 times. You'll see the various clips in which I done so. But yeah, these clips were just absolutely immaculate. So as you can see, it bounces really high and just barely gets over the diffuser. And this one, I didn't even plant where you hit on when it hit on Clip City there. I didn't even plant that one. He just ran into it. And yeah, it only chopped off part of the kill cam, but at least it had part of it. And from here, this was a more recent gameplay. I think it was taken about a couple weeks ago. And this one I hit Jamek. But it should be said that somebody still managed to defuse. And I was surprised that I hit Jamek instead of the guy defusing, since the bomb is in the same spot. But man, it must have been like a human meat shield. That must have been what happened. Because I cannot accept, yeah, I just couldn't accept it. That would have been one thing if I got a fucking like double kill with that. That would have been hilarious if I got a double kill with one tube. So as you can see here, shot the tube. And, you know, yeah, I still hit him. Yes, I did. And here you see me hitting it on Munzao for the third clip here. And this one I got the kill cam again. So I essentially have to run over here, go all the way back. Yep. Throwing knife is just so useful to line it up. And he had a riot shield this time, so like my tube actually went underneath his riot shield. Luckily for me. So as you can see, that's what happened. I got very lucky there. Next up, we have tier B. And tier B spots are very interesting looking. So, yep. Here we're actually on the regular version of Strike Zone still. I use the statue to bounce off of, bounce to cast that up his knee. And it goes over to B side. Very, very, decent spot. Where, as you can see, off that knee, over the building. And goes straight over. Hitting the opponent on B. It just barely trickles over in that direction. It's a far bounce. And next up we have a 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A for the chemmed version of Strike Zone. I use my marksman rifle for this one. And this is actually a derivative of WWK Hayes' spot as well. He did a spot very similar to this one before me. And it was just as impressive. This one only bounced off the bomb itself and bounced off the ground an extra time. So as you can see, it goes right over here, through there, bounces off the ground and the bomb, take out the diffuser. Next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, still chemmed Strike Zone, and there's like an invisible corner that's lined up with the group of foliage. Again, if you want to look at the mini map, that does help to determine its location. But once you're set, just shoot your tube, and it bounces off the roof in a very interesting manner. It goes off that wall, bounces off the concrete twice to take out the diffuser. Very, very nice. Next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. My cat was trying to get in, so forgive me if you hear any type of banging. Come here, girl. Come here, girl. Yep. So for bomb A, it was definitely tough to find a bank shot for, and a ricochet tube included, especially on the regular version. But I actually managed to do it. I'm the only one who managed to do it. So as you can see, it goes off the ground, through the window, off the ground twice. Take out the diffuser. Very, very nice. Now we have tier A. Tier A is actually like one of my first bank shots that I've hit online for Call of Duty Ghosts when I hit on PS4. So this is the 5 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B on the chemmed version of Strike Zone. And again, I hit this twice. I have the kill cams for both, luckily enough for me. As you can see, it goes off this little roof here, bounces off the truck, off that part of the sign, and bounces off the ground twice to take out the diffuser. Very, very nice. Now, as you can see online, this first clip that I had, I actually planted the bomb way off. I planted the bomb wrong, and it wasn't on purpose. I did not plant the bomb wrong on purpose. That just happened. The last person alive who was aware that I'd go for the cross map ricochet tubes and throwing knives or whatever, she knew what I was trying to do, and she wasn't trying to have it. But what happened here was on account of pure luck. Okay, so when she started to defuse, or no, she didn't even start to defuse. I killed her before she even defused. So, but when that motion sensor was hit, I shot my tube. She ran out of the way and ran back into the tube. What? So as you see, it soars in the air like an eagle, bounces off the truck, off the sign, runs out of the way, and then runs back into the way. It's just, oh man. Here you have the OG clip of when I hit this spot online, you know, where I was still a novice to hitting bank shots online. I used my throwing knife to line it up and it, you know, hit just the same. You just got to be very precise with it. So, yep. I'm very tired. I spent a lot of time working on this. You're fucking welcome. Anyways, the player I was going against, Jasm, he waited like a little while to go towards the bomb after my motion sensor was triggered, and he ran right into it. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, bro. Man. And now we have tier I, which is the impossible throwing knife. This one is a popular spot of mine. It's the strong arm 4-bounce throwing knife on bomb A, the regular version of Strike Zone. Now, when I was looking for this spot, it took me 4 hours to find it, and like getting the height that this knife needed to travel, and then also the hang time. Nobody's going to fucking actually get hit by this spot online. Like, you definitely need strong arm for this, and like the angle is just so sick. But it would have made it would have been like probably the best spot on Call of Duty Ghosts that I ever found, had it been for the fact that it might have been possible. If it was possible, then I'd be like, you know, itching for that number one. But you know, it's still incredible. Like, the visual is insane. Next up, we have Free Fall. Have a total of 5 spots, but for tier C, there's actually a spot on here that I've hit the most out of any of the spots that I've previously shown. The one bank on bomb B. Now, it should be said that this spot is very easy to do, and you know, each time I've hit it online, like people know that I'm actually gonna go for that spot now, and tired. But yeah, this spot I've hit a record 8 times. For Call of Duty Ghost standards, that is a lot. Forgive me as I'm drinking that water. My throat needed it. Yeah, that happened. But yeah, the next couple clips you'll see is me kind of failing to get the final kill, but still hitting it anyway. So like here, my teammate planted the bomb, and I had a feeling he'd plant exactly where I'd wanted him to. So I was like, okay, bet I'm gonna go right here, and I'm essentially gonna fuck you up. So yep. Just hang around back here. It's so ironic that Free Fall has like only 5 spots, but still it like you nearly spend like the whole amount of time, like I think 13 minutes, just looking at the total of spots for it. I don't know why, but like I'm starting to smell a little bit of blood coming from my nose a little bit. But I'm gonna edit that out. Anyways, like the tube here. Had I waited an extra second or like 2, then I probably would have hit that guy. So I shouldn't have been as like ambitious there. But I planted the bomb here, and I just expected myself to die immediately. And after I hit this tube, I knew that people would be after me. So I shot my tube. Someone would automatically know where I was because he got hit before by it as well. It was a lose-lose, but I still got the clip anyway. Yep, so from there, I actually had the clip of... And this was funny, because not recently, the person that I hit it on in this clip was named Semmer5, and the game before... This was on my birthday. This was the 3rd and final bomb defend that I hit on my birthday. And Semmer literally said, I will never get hit by one of your bank shots. And then on this game, I hit him with a bank shot. It was hilarious. Like, oh my goodness, bro. Like, and I was like, what did you say, Summer? Like, what did you say? I was like, I was going off. I was going crazy. Because, like, he was talking that ish. But, you know, after I hit him with the bank shot, despite him, you know, not wanting to get hit by that thing, as understandable as that's, you know, anybody could really relate to that, then, like, you know, that I actually gained a semblance of respect for hitting him with that. Because, like, a lot of the players who seen me hit this spot or like any spot on Call of Duty Ghost, they wonder why I do the stuff I do until like they see the kill cam and they're like, "What?" Okay, now give him his flowers right now. Like that's essentially what happened. Now, now it's not like a kiss ass type of thing. It's not like, you know, Sever is like out of his way friendly towards me, but he's very, you know, cordial. He's very cordial, like overall, when it comes to interacting with me now, more so than he used to be. Like after I hit so many bank shots online, and he's seen them firsthand. So it's like a mutual respect type of thing, and you know, I do appreciate that. So here we go, shooting my tube. This is on one occasion where I actually hit the cross map, but I had to clutch the rest of the round because there was too many people still alive. So on that occasion, I used throwing knife to finish off that guy, and then NBA was just oblivious of everything. Like, I literally just threw two knives right next to him on purpose, and then just, you know, whacked him with my shield. So, like, that had to be one of the badass, like, ways of ending a round that I've ever seen. So, like, yeah. I'm sorry, NBA. But, here we go, is, like, another clip of me hitting this shit. My nose just got really stuffy, but we're gonna go and continue through with this, and then after I, you know, finish commentating on all this, I'm gonna take a fucking great shower. So here we go. I'm lining up in the corner here. Again. I do believe I was streaming when I hit this bank shot as well. So like, I think I hit it, right? Yes, I did. But I didn't get the final kill, and the last guy, again, I had to clutch the round, and he allowed himself to get killed by the riot shield. I tell you, man, if you allow yourself to get killed by the fucking riot shield, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. Not even the titanium frame, bro. Not even the titanium frame. It's crazy, bro. Yeah, so here we go here. I think it's just the final time I hit this spot online. But that just goes to show how good this spot is. If I'm able to hit this spot almost 10 times, and I probably could be able to hit it a whole lot more in the future, who knows? But like, the fact that I only hit this spot like 8 times, that just screams credibility. You can go for this spot even if you're a beginning bank shotter, and you could probably hit this more than I do, if you're on PS4, that is, or PS5. You know, one of the two. So long as you're on the PlayStation Network, you're gonna find more players on this game than on the Xbox, unfortunately. But yeah, I wanted to make sure that the final clip that I showed was one where I actually got the kill cam again, and you know, it happened. Ugh. So here we go. It's such a great visual. It is such a great visual. Next up, we have the 4-bounce Ricochet 2 for Bomb A. Now, Bomb A is like a weird bomb. Like, nobody hardly plants there, and the spot that I have to go to involves me being out in the open. So, whenever I have to go for this spot, which I never do, I never go for this spot, but when I do, I essentially, you know, go on the side there, bounces off of the 2 walls and bounces off of the bomb, which is okay, but it wasn't really anything that could warrant a higher tier. I hit this spot online as well. Again, I hit this spot online. It didn't get the 3 to 4 bounces or whatnot. It only hit 2 bounces, but still it was decent. And yeah, doesn't sound much like a CODEX now. It sounds like a motherfucker just bambling to pass time. My apologies, motherfuckers. Here we have the tier B spot, which is ironic because the spot is at B. So here we go. I planted the bomb right about here, and we're towards the end of this little, I don't even know what that is, but this lineup is incredibly convoluted and difficult. Like, it took me forever just to be able to hit this in a private match, let alone a public. Like, I can't even do a public match, like, trying to hit this spot. Because it's too damn ridiculous. It's too damn ridiculous of a lineup. It takes too long. I'm not going to find those many dots. There's no corner that I can back into where my controller will just not veer off. It was fucked, but it's still a great visual. Next up, we have tier A. The only tier A spot we have is for bomb B. And this one involves a bounce that I didn't expect to take place. Now, the height of this is very, like, this has a very remarkable height. So that's why I'm very surprised that it, like, bounced the way it did. I thought it was just going to bounce off the wall and kill the opponent, but I did not expect it to bounce off the ground. And the fact that it did, it was just awesome to see. So here you go. There you go. Next up, we have tier S, the only tier S spot for free fall, and that is the legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now this one was very good. I was not expecting this angle at all, but you essentially want to go into Federation spawn. You want to line up with this very distinct marking in the debris. You can pause the video if you need to, and once you're ready to shoot your tube, and again, the visual was absolutely insane. So look at this. Look at this right here. Oh my god. Immaculate. It just barely goes towards the edge of that bomb too, but it's very doable. Next up, we have containment, which has 5 spots. Give me. Tier C. We have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, I believe. So this one was actually my first DLC bomb defend that I found for Call of Duty Ghost back on PS3. So all I did was just recreate it on PS4. You see the clip where it goes off the wall, through the railing, you know, bounce off the ground and off that door. Not bad. Well, then we have tier B. Now this one was very, very cool. So you essentially want to plant right there, and you want to go towards like bomb plant spawn in this corner and crouch. I use a marksman rifle to kind of line up with this one, and the bounces that take place after you bounce it off of the bus is actually very dope. So once you bounce it off of the bus, it bounces off of a slab of concrete that is just sitting there, and then it bounces off the ground like very low. So you could take out riot shielders with that one. Tier A. This one, I have one spot that I hit online, and this one I actually managed to hit 1 hour after finding it. Like, this was a more recent spot that I just, managed to find, and, the fact that even a DLC lobby came up in Search and Destroy, I was like, no way. And then when I actually hit this clip online, I thought it was tweaking. But, dude, like, it just goes to show that these spots still have credibility, even on the DLC. Onslaught, I think I almost hit a bomb defend on every, I shouldn't say every single map. No. Onslaught, I got 3 out of the 4 maps that I actually managed to hit a bomb defend for. And this one, I kind of go in the back here. You see, like, the full scale of what I actually do to set up for the kill cam here. And the opponent didn't think to look for me back here because, why would I, in his mind, why would a casual player be back towards spawn if I just planned it right there, But this spot I really liked because it goes through the hole in the roof and bounces off of a pool table. I love pool. I love it so much. So that I gave it that extra oomph there. Yep. So here we go for the next spot on bomb B. It is the 3 to 4 bounce ricochet tube. You essentially want to go in this building, use your marksman rifle to line up here, and then it should barely just bounce over the roof and bounce towards a wall and bounce off of the debris in a very unique angle. that can take out the diffuser. So nobody's really expecting this spot to be possible, but I made it possible. So there you go. Next up is tier I. In first place we have the, like, I don't even want to call it legendary, but this is my first motion sensor spot, like tube spot, that I've ever found for Call of Duty Ghosts. And you want to plant the bomb right about here. You want to get on top of this truck. Make sure it's already destroyed and line up the motion sensor as shown here. So once you do that, go into the spawn. Do not move the dumpster. Just go right here. And the first tube missed, but the second tube crosshair, I used my marksman rifle left crosshair to kind of help me line up with a little triangular shadow. And once I was ready, I managed to, shoot the cassette again. And just look at the kill cam here. I always wanted to do something with that roof for the longest time, and oh my goodness. Look at that. That was number 2 ranked on my top bomb defense of all time on COD Ghost. Next up we have Bayview, which has a total of 5 spots. Tier C, I think I only have 1 spot for that, and that is the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now, there's nothing bad about this spot except its location where you have to line up. I think the lineup is what hurts it more. And the aesthetic of the kill cam, it almost makes it like, I know it's not linear, it kind of looks like, you know how you have an open book but then you want to flip it like, page side down? That's essentially what happens there. Like the tube travels in that type of direction but on a vertical basis. And yeah, we have tier B spots. Starting off, we're going to go on A, and you want to line up with this tree. Now, I know the angle looks like the tube should go further to the right towards B bomb, but for whatever reason, this tree will give you a narrow angle that will travel over towards A. I never would have thought that would have been possible, but it just goes to show, don't knock it until you try it. When you see it, it bounces off the ground, it bounces off the bomb there. Take out the diffuser, very, very nice. Next up is the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now, I go all the way over here towards the center of the map, and I line up my cassette crosshair accordingly with this part of the wall. I use the throwing knife for that too. And once the enemy starts to defuse, I just shoot my tube, and it's a very great visual. And I don't even know the object that the tube bounces off of for the second bounce, but it's a very unique angle where it goes off the wall, off that thing, just barely misses the trolley, and then takes out the diffuser. And what I like about that is it can go over the trolley in case it ever passes by, which is so cool. Next up we have tier A, and this one I titled a legendary 4 bounce ricochet tube spot on bomb A. I still stand by that. It is very unique where it bounces off of this wall. It bounces off of, the building that's, or I should say the little stall area that's next to A, and then bounces off of another wall. Like, again, look at this visual. Like, that is so cool. And the final bounce just, giving that anticipation. Next up, the only tier S spot that we have for Bayview is on B. Now, this spot just used to be a 2 bounce ricochet tube, but upon further discovery, I managed to find a 5 bank variation of it. So this kill cam will depict that. But you can bounce the tube off of this bush. This bush is solid. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that. Yeah. Sorry I was quiet. I had to drink that water. I was severely dehydrated. Next up we have fog, which is 4 spots here. And I hit 2 out of my 4 spots on fog. Next we have, or I should say here we have tier B. And this is going to be the 2 bank strong arm throwing knife for bomb B. This one I hit rather recently, but essentially you want to go towards this building and line up with a little invisible corner here with the wood pallets stacked up against that wall. And once you do that, you just throw your knife. I actually used a cassette crosshair for the throwing knife. And it provided a unique angle from the opposite side where it, goes off that wall and off that wall to take out the diffuser. Now, when I hit this online, I didn't plant the bomb. A teammate planted the bomb. So it just goes to show that you don't even have to plant the bomb in order to hit it. You could have random people plant the bomb because they don't want to get blown up like from the opposite side or near that door. They want to make sure they have a good line of sight after they plant. So I went here, and luckily nobody managed to flank me. I was just, waiting for the enemies to come by. And for whatever reason, they approached the bomb incredibly late, and they didn't kill my other teammate. So I was like, well, okay, so let's see what it can do. And, I threw my first knife and missed, and, like, I don't know. I was, yeah. Yeah, I made that fucking weird ass laugh. Forgive me. Dude just fucking like got hit by a knife in front of him and then he just blew up. Yep. Now next one is the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. You essentially want to go into Federation spawn. You want to line up with this barrel that's right here. You want to aim lower than I initially did. That way the tube is going to be able to bounce off and not get stuck. But once you do that, it provides a decent bit of hang time and the visual is very cool. It goes, again, off the barrel and then bounces off the ground through these doors to take out the diffuser. Very, very sick. Next up, we have tier A. And this spot, the tutorial version of this spot is not A tier worthy. The kill cam that I hit when I actually, got this online, that was A tier worthy. But you can see here in the tutorial, it just bounces off the wall, bounces off the ground, and bounces off the ground again to take out the diffuser. But when I hit this online, okay, the first time I tried it, I didn't get the kill cam because I didn't properly station the tube enough left. But when I hit it online on the second time, when it got the kill cam, it actually bounced off the bomb itself to take out the diffuser. And that bounce off the bomb was so clean and so smooth, and I wasn't expecting it, but that raised it immediately to A tier. There was not much that needed to be changed about that. It was just wonderful. Very, very good. So as you can see, I was just waiting along this wall. It was on Chrono Cross, and I like, he's always a slippery little eel when it comes to being hit by bomb defense. But as you can see, at the very end of the round, I hit him, and yeah. Next up, we got the the next clip of where I hit it online again. I had a brain fart for a second, forgive me. It's like I'm reacting to my own collection of clips, forgive me. Drinking more of that water. Now, luckily I was able to shoot it before the enemy actually got there, and by the time the enemy got there, he got hit in the head. So again, I wasn't expecting it to bounce off the bomb, but the fact that it did, hoorah! Or I should say, hoorah! I tried it, and I failed miserably. I will never try that again. But in any event, I hit him, and that was just legendary. See, look at this. Boom, boom, firepower. There we go. Next up, we have tier I, which means impossible. So this is my 3 bounce ricochet tube for bomb A. And you'll see how I actually line up the motion sensor. I have to line it up essentially with markings in the distorted water, I guess. So it made it really tricky. So I used a marksman rifle to kind of line that up. And then once you're ready, you go along this wall that's very close to bomb plant spawn. Again, and I used a throwing knife for the lineup here, but bounces off the motion sensor and takes out the diffuser. Just look at this visual. I think this was ranked maybe number 4 on my Bankshots, like my top 5. Next up, we have ignition, which has a total of 6 spots. So here we go. We got tier C starting out. We got the 1 bankers in the house. Starting off of bomb A, we have a, this is a decent lineup. You get in this corner here, crouch, And you want to line up your cast deck crosshairs as I have done here. It provides a unique angle, but the, like, I don't know, the visual was just not as good as the next spot that, you know, precedes it. And again, it's a one banker as well, but it is a bank shot on A bomb, so I'll take it. Next up is the one bounce throwing knife on bomb B. This is with strong arm. You want to go in this corner, and this was actually a very creative lineup where I actually used the staircase off to the distance to line up my throwing knife to bank to the side off of, and like it was just a majestic kill cam where it just goes sailing through the air and drops down on the opponent. So I thought that was very cool how it just travels all the way over there. Yep. Next up we have tier B. And with tier B, we have, what is it? I believe it was the 2 bank throwing knife that's on bomb B. So you want to go essentially right here, and you want to line up with your cast deck crosshair. Make sure you have strong arm. What I like about this one is it trickles like even past the bomb sometimes, and that the bank shot actually like goes through the fire. Like it goes through the fire of whatever structure this is, and then, you know, it doesn't just stop there. Like it can continue going forward. That's what I like about that. Next we have tier A, which we have 2 spots for. So for tier A, we're starting off with A bomb, and this is actually the only bomb defend I hit on ignition. But the way I hit it, like again, I'll just leave it up to the clip next. But you want to line up your castet as I have done, and this one blew me away. This one blew me away the second I found it. It was actually one of my oldest spots that I found for PS3. But it bounced off the ground and bounced off the bomb to go right back over there. Alright, so on the online clip, you see this is the first and only reverse bomb defend that I've ever gotten. Where the enemy was planting the bomb, right? And I had no idea he was actually going to be in the area that I shot my tube. Okay? I had no idea he was going to be there. That's why immediately after, you know, I left the spot and reloaded. So, like, by that time, if I shot a freaking instant earlier, I would have gotten the final kill, and that would have been sick. Like, come on. I was so fucking close. Yes, I won for my team, but, like, I was so surprised that I managed to hit him with that. Like... Like, what are the chances that I actually managed to hit somebody with that shit? Man, I tell you, man. I wish I could have seen the kill cam. I wish that dude would have uploaded the clip of, like, you know, what happened to him. Like, he had plenty enough time, but he probably didn't. Anyways, for the other tier A spot, you want to go right alongside this little part of the wreckage here. And, you know, it's a decent little angle, I guess. So it bounces off the wall, bounces off the roof, bounces off the wall, and bounces off the same roof to take out the opponent. I thought that was kind of cool. But here we have tier S, and this is the legendary 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one, I believe, has a 5 to 6 second hang time. So make sure you shoot this one before your enemy starts to defuse. This is absolutely insane. So, like, look at this. Look at this. Not only does it give you an amazing aerial visual, but the bank shots, once it actually makes contact with the roof, are so fucking smooth. Like, oh my god, man. I love that spot so much. Again, that's one of my older spots too. Next up, we got Unearthed. And, you know, we got 4 total spots here. We got tier B coming up. There are no C tier spots for Unearthed. So here we go. The first one is going to be on bomb B. So you want to plant the bomb right about here. You can plant it like kind of a little bit more to your right if you want to, but I use my throwing knife to line it up, and you're essentially A bomb side. So again, pause the video if you need instruction. And this this tube is quite the anomaly here, where it bounces off the ground and then bounces off the bomb like straight up in order to take out the diffuser there. I really like that. Next up, we have the 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B, but it's not the legendary one. This is just a different one where you line up in this corner. You want to crouch and use the left part, or I should say the right part of your left throwing knife crosshair to line up with that thing, and by God, you get a very decent 4 bounce here where it goes off that wall, off the ground 3 times to take out the diffuser. Next up, we got tier A, and this one is on bomb B. It is the 4 to 5 bounce ricochet tube. Now this one bounces in a way I didn't think was possible, but essentially you want to have a teammate plant that one because you have to run too far away. And you want to go right towards this little wall right here and then shoot your tube, lined up as I have. And it has quite a bit of hang time, but you're able to take out the diffuser swimmingly here. So in a moment, goes all the way there, bounces off the ground, bounces it off that thing, and then bounces off the bomb and off the ground. Very cool. Now we have tier S. So next up is this, like, this spot was amazing. I always wanted to find a tube defend that went through the hole in the mound, the bunker that was over on that side. And on MW3 I couldn't find it, but on Ghost I actually managed to find a way. And I was ecstatic that such a spot was possible. Just look at this. Just look at the insanity that this angle produces. Like, look, bruh. Oh my god. That was fucking amazing. Next up, we have Ruins, which has a total of 6 spots. So here we have Tier C. Tier C, it's not bad. But the first one is on Bomb B. Bomb B is very difficult to find a spot for because not only is it inside, but it's at a very awkward angle. But with this leaning throwing knife, I found a spot that goes straight over to it. It doesn't have an impressive visual, but because it's such a smooth transition, it's still pretty cool. So as you can see, easy lineup, just carries all the way over, takes out the diffuser there. Nothing much to it. Next up is the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, where you essentially want to go over here, use a marksman rifle to line up with some of these markings in this tree, and then shoot your tube, or it actually bounces off the bomb as well. To take out the opponent, but you got to make sure the opponent is either crouched or standing up. So as you can see, goes straight over here and then yoink, takes out the diffuser. Next up, we have tier B, and I believe for tier B, this one could have been an A, had it like, I don't know, but you want to plant the bomb right about there. This can only work if your opponent is kind of like going prone. But as you can see, I line up with this wall right here. Again, pause the video if you need to. But this provided a very unique angle. And once it went off this wall, it actually went off the side of the temple to take out the diffuser at a very interesting angle. Again, look at this. Off the wall and off the temple to just drop down. Absolutely insane. Next up, we have tier A. Tier A has a bit more creative bank shots. This one, this is by far one of the more creative bank shots that I found, and this is for bomb B. Now, normally people will say like you don't have an angle for bomb B, but I noticed that there was a little like rampway of dirt that leads up to the bomb. So I wanted to make sure with strong arm I could throw a knife that bounces off that pathway of dirt, and then just bounce off of another object to just take it over to B, which is exactly what happened. I was lucky I noticed that. And next up, we have the 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. This one, I actually showed the full clip of, for whatever reason. But essentially, you want to get into this little corner that's right about here. And then you want to line up with your marksman rifle just beneath the middle of that leaf. Again, pause the video if you need to. Where it bounces not only off that rock, but also off of the bottom of a tree branch, or I should say tree trunk. It carries itself all the way over. So there you go. Yep. Next up, we have tier S, and that has the, this is the legendary 3 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. Now, this is by far one of the most convoluted lineups, and I never tried to go for this online because this lineup is so convoluted. But like, if you want to try to give it a go, you gotta study the clip that I just shown. You gotta study it. But here we go here. It bounces off, you know, that, and then sails all the way over, bounces off that side of the wall, and then off the lily pad. Like, that's sick. That's such a sick visual. But the lineup, though, Next up, we have collision, which has a total of 4 spots. And now we have tier C. So at tier C, the first one is a 1 banker without strong arm on bomb B. And essentially you want to go towards Federation spawn and you want to line up with your throwing knife as shown here, where it actually bounces off of that broken beam of a bridge. And again, pause the video if you need to. It does provide an impressive visual, I'll give it that. So yeah, bam, bam, bam. So next up, the reason why I have this spot on bomb A rank higher than the spot that I just shown on bomb B is because bomb A has nearly no angles for a spot whatsoever, and finding a spot that was like as far away from the bomb as possible was very tough, but I managed to find at least one, and it had to be a throwing knife because the cast stat was not going to be anything special, but you know, finding that little angle did give it some bonus points, I will not lie. Next up we have tier B. Now for tier B we have a 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one, like, it does provide a wonderful aerial visual, and then for the finishing bounce, the bounce itself was nothing special. However, the dynamic, or I should say the visual effect of the bounce, provided a clear screen view from beyond the debris. So as you can see here, it goes straight up and then clear view. Like, I like that. That was very cool. Next up we have tier A, and this is the final spot for collision as well. You want to plant the bomb right about here, and you want to go into bomb plant spawn essentially, and you want to line up your tube as shown here. Again, there's going to be an invisible corner when you're doing this, so you don't have to worry about like any, you know, thing you have to like step out and inch yourself away from. So there you go. Nice little 4 bounce there. I thought it was going to be legendary, but it's not, but it still provided a wonderful visual nonetheless, and the bounces made sense, so there you go. Now on Behemoth, I only have 3 spots for. Behemoth was incredibly difficult to find spots for because, for one, it's tough to find corners where a spot would work, and then number 2, some of the placement of the bomb, I don't know. But for here, it's on bomb A, and this is the 3 bounce ricochet tube. So from here, you want to shoot your tube off this little structure. Again, that's a corner. That's a corner here. You don't have to worry about inching or anything like that. That's a corner where I'm at. And it goes off this wall, off the building roof, and off that little AC unit or whatever the hell. Next up, we have our tier A spot. And this one is our the legendary 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A as well. Essentially, you want to go right about here, and then you want to line up your castet with this little area. So again, pause it if you need to, and shoot your tube, where you get a wonderful display here, where it goes off the wall, off the crane, off that building or that thing twice, and then off the ground. Takes out the diffuser. Next up, we have tier S, and tier S, this angle was absolutely insane. So like, nobody actually managed to find a bank shot for bomb B, because like, what angle would there be? But I actually found one for a ricochet tube nonetheless, and this was by far one of my best bomb defense because of the angle. So here we go, where it just, you know, bounces off this wall, trickles off the ground 3 to 4 times to take out the diffuser. Like, come on, that is crazy. Next up, we have Pharaoh, and it has a total of 4 spots. The tier B is pretty crowded, and there's no S tier spots, unfortunately, but the first spot is going to be shown on bomb A, and essentially you want to go alongside this pillar. I used a marksman rifle for this, but upon my first failed lineup, I kind of switched over to the throwing knife lineup. So as you can see here, so with the throwing knife, made it all better, and managed to take out the opponent. Now, goes off there, goes off the ground, and also bounces off the sand. I wish it bounced off the wall, but it's not necessary. Next up, we have our 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. You want to plant it right about here. And next up, you want to jump and get in this little corner. And then you want to, with your top cast that crosshair, line up the bottom between like the bottom circle and like the top circle in the ground. It's a very unique angle for that bomb site since there's not a lot of objects around there. But see here, and it bounces right off the corner of the truck. Bam. Next up, we have the 1 to 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now I like this one more because of the location of the bank shot and where the tube kind of travels, like through the hole in this little like archaic building. Like I love that. It is out of the box thinking and it's fucking like genius. So as you can see, shot the tube right there and managed to get the diffuser. Now this one in particular bounced off of a box and off the bomb itself. It didn't just go straight over. Like look at that. That's crazy. Next up we have tier A, and tier A had like by far like it's a great visual here. It's on bomb B, and bomb B you have to have a very unique angle to even try to get it inside the fucking bomb. So here, or I should say yeah, bomb A, yeah, bomb A, and you see the bottom part of my cast that crosshair is a little bit to the left of that semicircle right there. So I just shot my tube. The first one missed, but the second one did hit. Here we go. Yep. So as you can see here, bounced off that wall, off the ground, and then part off the stairs to bounce back into the enemy. I thought that was so cool. Next up, we have Departed, which has a total of 3 spots. Now, I did update these, so for tier C, we have a 2 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. I don't like this one at all, but it still provided a decent angle. I don't like being in the center of a map for any of my spots, really. I like being out of like the center's reach as much as possible. But here, I actually, lined it up with the street, and it bounced off the sheet metal in a weird angle. I thought it would go like just straight over, like not towards the bomb, but just go straight off the sheet metal, like towards whatever other direction. But no, it did that, and I'm not quite sure how to classify that. But next up, we have tier A, where it has 2 total spots here. So the first one is going to be on bomb A, and this one you use your throwing knife to line up. And you're crouched alongside this wall, and once your opponent starts to defuse, you just shoot your tube. I like this one because it bounces off of a nearby roof and then it just trickles off the ground twice. I could have bounced it in a way where it bounced off, the tree as well. And I probably could find an updated version of that spot, but I wanted to stay with what I had. Next up, we have the final spot and the best spot for Departed, which is on bomb B. This is a 4 to 5 bounce ricochet tube, where you essentially crouch and go in this corner, and once you line up with the tube as I have, you want to shoot it. Provided a nice visual, but like the bounces in itself were not unique. So it went off this wall, off the ground, off the bomb, and off the ground again to take out the opponent. Next up, we have Mutiny, which has a total of 4 spots. So let's start out with a tier C. Which is going to be the 4 bounce ricochet 2 on bomb. What is it? This is going to be bomb A, yeah. So I don't like this spot all that much because you're kind of more out in the open than ever. But you can try it if you want to. And the bounces themselves are not really impressive. The locations where they go can be, if you are enticed by that type of thing. But otherwise, the bomb defense on this map, if I bounced it off the cannon, it probably would have given it bonus points, but I wasn't able to do that. And next up we have tier A. Tier A has 2 total spots here. So the first one, as you can see, I looked at that building right before I planted, because that's exactly what the second bounce is off of. And the reason why I mentioned this before the kill cam is shown is because the kill cam won't really show the building. It'll just show the second bounce being you don't have any idea what it bounces off of. You don't. So like you see it soars straight up in the air and then bounces off that other roof to travel straight over to the bomb. Very nice. Next up, we have the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one was very tough to find, and quite honestly, I never tried to go for this at all. I don't care to go for this spot. It's still very sick though, but like, I don't trust it because it bounces off of an invisible object for the 3rd bounce. So as you can see here, it bounces not only off that wall, but also off the roof, and then also off the tree somehow, and you know, takes out the opponent. Next up, we have tier S. And here, this is actually the best bomb defend for Mutiny. It's on bomb A, and essentially, that bell that's kind of, you know, at the, what is it, near the top of the ship, I bounced it off of a member that was right next to that bell, and I wish I could have gotten the bank shot that bounced off the bell. That would have been fucking crazy, but alas, I don't think that was something possible. But yeah, that was so cool to see. So as you can see, it goes off the ship, off there, through, and tickles onto the diffuser. Very, very nice. Next up, we have 4 total spots for the map of Favela. We're starting off with tier C, which is going to be on bomb B. It's going to be my triple bounce ricochet tube, and this one you don't have to travel far for. You still need a marksman rifle, just in case. But essentially, you want to go in that building that the bomb is right in front of. And you want to go up top, and you want to line up with this little dot right before, you know, those bricks there. And then once your enemy starts to go to the bomb, you just, you know, shoot your tube. And it's very easy. It's very easy. And the visual is actually pretty decent for the distance that it travels. So, goes off there, goes off that wall, and bounces right here. Take out the diffuser. I probably could have done it further over to make it bounce off of those pallets, but I didn't want to worry about that. Next up, we have tier B, where we have our, this one is the 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A, but it's not legendary. It's still impressive though, because it not only doesn't go off this little, you know, piece of architecture here, but it also goes off the roof of that building, and then also it bounces off of the sofa that's right next to the bomb, and then it also bounces twice off the ground to reach that bomb site. So that's kind of like what happened there. I do like that spot a lot. Next one is a 2 bounce ricochet tube for bomb B. Now this one actually I think travels the greatest distance out of any ricochet tube that I found thus far. And like, you would definitely need a teammate to plant this one. But once you know, get that bomb site planted, you know, do what I just did. I can't really explain it, but it travels all the way that distance and then bounces off that the destroyed car, to travel to the bomb. And next up, we have tier S, which is going to be my legendary 5 bounce ricochet tube on bomb A. Now this one was so freaking dope to see that I can't really describe everything that happens in the kill cam. Like, I'm just so in awe of it. And like, look at this. Like, man. I'll try it. So it bounces off that bridge, off a little ramp thing, bounces off that little side, and then also bounces off the ground. Like, damn. Now, Sub-Zero has some new and improved spots, but still, it does have an F tier spot, which is unfortunate. But you can probably guess what bomb that's on. That's going to be on A. A doesn't have a whole lot of different, you know, angles for a lineup. And when you think you do have an angle for a lineup, the spot itself is not too good at all. But this basically was created so that I could have a spot for bomb A that I didn't replicate or anything like that. So as you can see, it bounced off this wall, and then it does a very lukewarm bounce off the ground to take out the opponent. Again, that is fucking lame. Tier C, we have the 3 to 4 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This one, you plant a bomb right about here, and you want to run along that little wall and line up with your cast dead exactly how I've done. And once the enemy just goes over towards the bomb, you can just shoot your tube in a second here. So you can just shoot your tube, and it bounces off of that wall and another wall, which travels in the direction of B-bomb. And sometimes it might take an extra bounce as well. So here, bam, and then bam. So next we have tier S, and yes, Sub-Zero has a tier S spot. Despite all of its surroundings, despite its lack of surroundings, I actually managed to find an S tier spot. So here, plant the bomb on B, and you want to go right in this corner, and you want to line up with your throwing knife according to those little two circles that are right here. And once your enemy is defusing, you just shoot your tube, and look at this. It bounces off of the snow and off of the vehicle. Like, oh my goodness. So, yeah, boing, boing. Like, that's such a great angle. I love that kill cam. Oh my god. Next up, we have Dynasty, and by far, that's my favorite Nemesis map in terms of design. Here we have a C tier spot. So the first one is going to be on bomb A, and it's going to be without strong arm. You essentially want to have the you want to have a submachine gun. That way you can line it up properly. And once you do, you're going to get a very nice kill cam. The bank shot itself is not anything too special, but the aerial visual of the travel was very fulfilling to me. And the fact that it travels in the center of the bomb makes it, very, very hittable. Next up, we have tier B. And I do believe one of these involves the bank shot throwing knife. Yep. So this one I actually managed to throw through the dragon. Like, you see this dragon that's right here. I actually aimed my cassette crosshair to the left of it, and once I threw my knife, it actually went through the dragon's belly, and bounced after going through some trees. Like, it was such a great visual, and so symbolic too. So as you can see, it bounced off a roof to travel all the way over. That is one of the better spots for that map. And next up, we have the 2-bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. In this one, you actually want to go towards A side and make sure you have a marksman rifle for this one. And you want to crouch and look right up here in between those little Mediterranean roof style, shingles? Yeah, Mediterranean style shingles. And here you go. Bam. And next up, we have tier A, which is the 3-bounce throwing knife. Not the 3-bounce throwing knife, 3-bounce ricochet tube, my fault, on bomb A. So essentially, you want to go down B side and, line up with this stairwell that's right over here. And again, pause the video if you need to. But once you're ready, you just shoot the tube off the side of the stairs, and you get a very wonderful aerial visual, along with 2 different bounces off of the same building. So here we go. That was such a good spot. And next up, we have a tier S spot, and this by far is the most creative spot I can really come up with for this map. So here, it's on A bomb. I plant the bomb right about here. Now, you see this gateway that I'm looking at before I plant? That is where the tube bounces off of. I wanted to find something that goes through that gateway, because the gateways are symbolic in that culture. And I felt like if I found something the bank shot off of there, that would be even more symbolic to me. So as you can see, bounces off the wall, off the ground, off the gateway, and then off the ground again. Take out the diffuser. Very smooth, very smooth. Next up, we have Gold Rush, which has 7 spots, the most spots out of any of the DLC maps. So we're starting off with tier C, and we got a couple of throwing knives here. So first one here is going to be a 1 to 2 bounce throwing knife on bomb A, and this one is not really impressive at all. You're hardly distant from the bomb, and you need to have strong arm for this lineup. I don't really like this spot at all because you're a very easy target, but it exists, so I can't discard of it. But still, not a very good spot. Next up, we have the the 1 bank throwing knife, I believe. No. This is the 3-bounce ricochet tube. My fault. On bomb B. Now this one, the distance traveled is kind of what hurts because it doesn't have any crazy bounces either. It bounces off this tower, which I always wanted a tube to do, but the thing is, it bounced off the roof and bounced off the wall, but it was missing something that gave it extra oomph, and ultimately it didn't have that, but it was still an amazing visual to see that. Next up, we have tier B. And the tier B, we have a couple of one banker throwing knives. So the first one is on B side, and I use A side, like this hole through the cave. I always wanted to use this hole through the cave to find something. And the fact that I was able to find something without strong arm for it, with a throwing knife, like the direction of the travel of the throwing knife was fucking glorious. And like the bank shot itself was not, but like again, the travel, look at the journey here. And then, just bounces off that side of the train. Take out the diffuser. Next up, this was the very first spot that I actually found for Gold Rush, and I thought, I used to think this was the sickest one because nobody's ever found a bank shot for Gold Rush like that, where it travels through such a narrow field of objects that it would have otherwise caught the throwing knife or a castet, and the fact that I managed to find something for it, like a bank shot for it, no less. It's not like just a regular bank shot. Bounces actually off the train floor, or I should say the track floor, upwards to take out the diffuser there. So it was really cool. Next up is the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. This is the second of those types of spots. So you actually want to line up with the rock, and the rocks are much more difficult to bank shot off of than wood. So I gave it brownie points there. Just waited for the opponent to defuse, and as you can see, it bounces twice off of the same roof to take the diffuser out, which also I felt like giving it more points because that's tough to do. So as you can see here, bam, bam. Next up, we have tier A, and the next 2 spots here are essentially throwing knives. So this is very one of the few maps that actually have a S tier throwing knife spot. Now, for tier A, you actually want to get into this corner, and you want to use your, bottom of your castet crosshair. I think it's one little notch at the bottom that you use to line up in that little dot. I should say in the little bolt that's beneath the roof of that building that you're aiming at. And you need to have strong arm where it just bounces off that roof and then bounces off of this roof to, take out the diffuser, diffusing in the corner of B-bomb. And next up, we have tier S, which is the legendary 3 bank throwing knife. Now, this used to be something else until I updated it about a year back. And essentially, you want to go into the cavern here. You want to wedge yourself in this corner, and then use your castet crosshair to line up with these little rocks in the distance. Now, I found this spot by accident. I wasn't expecting it to work, but the fact that this angle actually exists is almost fucking insane to me. So as you can see, it bounces off. The kill cam will show you just why this one is S tier, because not only is the angle sick, but look at this. Bounces off the bomb and off the wall before it drops on the diffuser. Come on. Next map is the last map with Showtime, and it does have a tier F spot, unfortunately. So essentially you want to plant the bomb right about here. And this one you need strong arm for, but the location of where you need to line it up is absolutely dog shit. And I would never try to go for this in an online game unless I was hidden the entire time and I was hiding like a little bitch. That would be the only way I'll be able to go for that spot. But still, the bank shot itself does provide a unique little angle that kind of just trickles over into B-bomb. And since B-bomb is inside and that particular angle, I mean, that's fine. But tier B, we're getting into, and that's going to be pretty crowded. The first one is going to be a double bank throwing knife on Mount B. Now, what you see him aiming for off to the distance is a rectangular monitor that's kind of over near the party DJ station. So once you throw your knife, you're actually going to hit one of those monitors. You're not going to hit a wall. You're going to hit one of those monitors, which makes it bounce over in the direction of a bomb, which is pretty cool to me. That was actually one of the older bank shots that I found as well. Another old bank shot here is essentially when you replant the bomb right there. And this one's a 4 bounce ricochet tube. You essentially want to go towards your spawn and you use your left part of your left tube crosshair to go in that little, to aim in that little corner of that building. And once you do, it's a very decent visual. I feel like this one is the most hittable out of all of them. So here you go. Bam, bam. It travels in a general direction, so you could really plan along that whole entire side, but I chose to do it far back because more bounces that way, I guess. Next one is another 4 bounce ricochet tube, but I like this one even more because of the angle of the tube and its travel. So this one, it like as you can see, I line up with a little like mark in the wall that's kind of shaped like a 4, and you know, I took out the diffuser there. So as you can see, bounced off that wall and then bounced off that thing, and that like kind of switched directions to bounce over to A. And now for the tier A spot and the final spot for all of the maps for the Bankshot Codex is the 3 bounce ricochet tube on bomb B. Now this one is very cool because this spot you actually use to line up is very close to the Easter egg, so I recommend having a teammate plant. So you just want to hop along this, you want to crouch, and then you want to line up with the broken glass wall apparently. But again, like the kill cam is very sick where it bounces over a building and bounces over a box and bounces off the ground. I hope you guys continue to enjoy these spots. I know I'll try to continue to hit more of them. You guys are most welcome to do so as well. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, face the mountain on your ass.